Are we live? Oh, yes, we are. We are live, 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 live. Okay. It's a lot going on. Has it clicked in? All right, we here. We on it. We in this thing. We in this thing. We in this thing. All right, so we're going to bring in Nicole. I told you guys we're going to do a part 2. So here's the thing. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Armand, and we're back with another video. This is the part 2 to the video that we did earlier. We're going to be bringing down some guests. If any of you guys would like to come on and do anything, I'm going to put the link in the comments, and you guys can come on as well. Okay, so I want any trans, any cisgender females to click the link. So all right, let's bring Nicole on. Nicole.
Yes, darling.
Okay, Nicole. Okay, so listen, why don't you just get started with everything? I'm just going to open up the floor for you to just go ahead and let people know who you are, and let's just really get into some things.
Okay, so first of all, my name is Nicole Bowles. Oh my God, I wear so many hats. So I'm a New York City advocate, also known as the LGBT First Lady. I'm also I'm a mother, a leader. Oh my God, I hate when someone, this is where it starts. A mother, a leader, I wear a lot of different hats in the community. And I also advocate for trans rights, trans visibility, trans health, and anything that has any and everything that has anything to do with trans women.
So you were on the show earlier and we were really getting into some things, girl, about, Nicole, we lost you. Get it together, Nicole. Get it together, Nicole. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. So this is it. Let me just say this. So if I have to do that, that means someone done called. I can't hear you no more.
Oh, okay.
And they keep calling. Me, hold on. Let me not get upset. My nerves, Nicole, calm your nerves. Cause see, they.
Well, we're looking for a cisgender female as well to come on here. So we need a cisgender female with some personality to talk as well. We want a real biological born female to come onto the chat. Okay. So if you are a biological female and you want to give your opinion on anything, please come onto the chat now. A cisgender female is a woman with a vagina, born. And we're waiting for the call. We're trying to bring this part 2 together. I don't know, child. I don't know if YouTube is sending out my links and stuff, but we're trying to get it together. Okay. Nicole, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's just get straight to the conversation at hand. There is beef between.
There's so many though. Are we going to the okay, are we going to the identification and women saying that it's okay for us to be women next to them? Are we going to the conversation where does the friction stems from?
Well, you go ahead where you feel like you want to start, because this is not a conversation. You go.
Well, yeah. So are we going to talk about where does the friction start when we're talking about Black trans women and Black heterosexual women, and why there is so much friction? When we have an identity, are we going to have a conversation about your space and how y'all may feel that your space should be for y'all, and that we are always being in a part of it? I don't know. It's so many ways to go. When we was doing the part 1, I had wrote down a lot of things. I talked about the history and the timeline and how these things came about that you have to deal with today. But I also heard the ignorance of we couldn't be they won't identify, or they won't call us a women, knowing what we have between our legs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, because
how
someone said that they could not call you a woman if you had a 12-inch penis between your legs.
can
Yeah.
I say it? Okay, that's fine. But that's the issue with men and trans women and black women. It would be your man and my 12 inches. That's what that would be. That would be the only reason why we would be different from y'all, considering we would be able to give him something they don't have. That's the only thing that would make us different. And that has nothing to do with being a woman. It has everything to do with sex.
Talk about it.
So I shared this live, and if a lot of my trans sisters and people out there watching, I share this live because this is a conversation that needs to be had, and we need to stop looking at the messenger and start looking at the message. This is something that people don't talk about, and we need to talk about. We need to have this conversation because there's so many hidden agendas and so many feelings that we can't even love on each other and respect each other. We can't even admire our black women, and our black women can't even do the same. And so how do we figure out a way to make this different? And I would love to hear from my women, biological women. I have to say, because they don't want to assist. I don't know how that works. So when my women, my biological women, my trans women, I would like to hear.
How do you feel about people saying that transgender women suffer from gender dysphoria?
I feel that
like trans is a mental illness.
I think it's really true. Well, because I can speak for myself. Looking in the mirror now, and I look at myself, and I look down, and I be like, "Oh my God!" Like that don't belong there for me mentally. That's not what I'm about, and it's really sad that we are judged and we're ridiculed, and we are just people are assumptions, and all types of assumptions are being made by something they don't even know between your legs. They don't even know what you're dealing with between your legs or what that may be sending you through. However, the dysphoria is that I'm born and I'm told and that I'm this, but I'm not that. And I can't relate to those items or things even on my body because that's not what my mind is connected to.
Somebody said there's no, if you can be a woman, a white person can be, what did they say? The people who say they are, but don't have dysphoria, but there you can tell trans. Can you see these comments, Nicole, that I'm posting?
It says chat. I go to chat, right?
No, you don't see it on the screen?
No, I do not.
Okay. To my black women in chat, I want to apologize that natural born black women weren't protected and loved. We always tried our best to support and protect y'all. Now let's get into
I see it too, I see it now.
Oh, you do?
I just had to go to live chat.
Yes, girl. So I'm opening up the floor to you to really get into some things. This is the part 2. If any females, cisgender women want to get on here and talk, this is the time to get on here. There will be no call-in number.
Right. I just think that I want to hear, and I just want it to be a real clear understanding on the behalf of trans women, and even on the behalf of me as a trans woman, loving and admiring black women and understanding everything about their essence and what they bring and who they are, and that I'm not a trans woman who has any insecurity or any thoughts of frustration or anger about who they are and what they are, because I've learned to love who I am and what I do. And we may relate in a lot of situations, even when it comes down to the man. However, I don't have this hatred. I think a lot of women are also upset that everything is trans now and everything is gay black man and everything is that. But then that would be kind of unfair, because what about when it wasn't and everything was them? And they didn't stand up and fight for us. There was a lot of heterosexual people who had gay friends and get trans people, and those things that happened to us, whether it was discrimination, violence, or whatever, they didn't stand in our corner. There are a lot of people who didn't stand up. You know how many celebrities and men who enjoy this side of the fence, they all live in their secret. So this is who we are and how we are being represented by people that we even deal with. Whether it's a heterosexual woman or whether it's a heterosexual man, we are always the last thing on the totem pole.
So let's talk a little bit about the word fish, because that's what we were talking about earlier. Why women don't like the word fish, and you said you agree to a certain degree, but and they don't like the word cisgender, but you don't like the word transgender. Can you elaborate on that?
I think first of all that again, because of where we are today, there are so many freedom of expression and there's so many things that have been taught. I remember a time in our life, listen, when we were young, and I don't know if you can relate to this someone, it wasn't called trauma. Your family taught you to get over it. You were black, you came from slavery, these things happened, you were taught to get over it. So now they have the word trauma. So trauma is this word that talks about things that have affected and happened to you in the past. The same thing as now we have all these different trans binaries, non-conforming, cis, not just cisgendered women, because there are cisgendered men. It's just a word behind how to describe who they are and what part of the pole they are on. So
Okay.
when we were coming up, fish for us in our community and cunt wasn't shade to the biological women. It was everything we was aspired to be. We wanted our mom to say, "Oh, girl, you look cunt." We wanted, any man or gay man or anybody in our community to acknowledge us as looking like fish. And it wasn't the derogatory terms that everybody thinks. It was truly based about our femininity. And in the process, because you don't always start off looking like fish. But fish does, but cunt does. But for us, that wasn't our process. And so once we reach that process, that word is being used to identify or to speak about how soft or passable or how much of a woman you are and you look like. And so I understand the word cisgender women not being wanted to
Are you
be,
seeing these comments as well? Or can you still see these comments?
no, because when I'm talking,
Oh, okay.
can you let me see this? Let me see something. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, so I can still, okay, as long as you can see me. So that means everybody else can see me. So now I can see the comments.
Yes.
Okay.
See, I can keep changing these. Can you see these that I'm putting on the screen? Is what I'm saying. Can you see that I put on the screen? Ask her why fish. Where does it derive? Do you see that where I just pinned it? Like I'm pinning different comments to the screen.
Hold on, I'm seeing because it went up.
Ask her. No. Oh, so you don't see that I'm pinning stuff to the screen?
No, I just see everything that they say.
Okay, go ahead.
It's just the Lingo, Kelly, and the lady get on the chat live. Next lifetime.
Okay, somebody said ask her why fish. Ask her why the word fish. Where does it derive from?
So in our community, it would be like this saying, like, you are pussy, tuna, fish, cunt. See, so it came from literally, it possibly, and I'm not going to say that I'm so accurate, but for my acknowledgement, it came from the ballroom. The ballroom created that term and doing these chants while people are voguing to make them feel like a woman. So when they say you are pussy, tuna, fish, cunt, you can feel like a woman. It was the essence and how you move and what you would do. And so that's how the term came up as far as ballroom. Eventually, I'm sure that it just then was put out there for women, period. Like, oh, that's the fish. Oh, that's the cunt. That's how in our community, how we determined or spoke to our girlfriend about someone we was talking about. If I was talking about the girl, oh, the fish, the cunt downstairs. You remember the cunt? Why I'm saying cunt is so that you can understand I'm talking about the woman and not anything else.
Okay. If anybody wants to join the chat, we need a woman to join the chat. There's a lot of opinions in the comments, but bitch, you need to get on the chat. If you want anything to say, the link is right here, baby.
And I can understand how women may be offended about it, even though I am saying that it wasn't state and brought it to offend. And so them being called that, if they said, do not call me that, I personally would respect that. But we wouldn't go call people. That was a conversation and that would happen amongst us in our community. Like Amar said, that was like tea time being brought out of the house to the public.
I don't feel like it's going to change because women are not going to stop calling the trans trannies. They're not going to stop calling the trans men. They're not going to stop calling the gays fags and sissies. And we're probably not going to stop calling the girls fish on our free time. But it's not a derogatory term. However, we can't tell people how not to feel. And if they don't like the word, I agree. We don't have to call them fish to their face. But all of my good friends, my good girlfriends, they don't mind being called fish in the right terms. Just like I don't mind being called a sissy in the right with the in the right way, in the right context.
Yes. And that's what I can respect. But in other contexts, it's normally not as shade, and it's not to offend or wanting to hurt someone.
But we do have to be honest though. We can use the word fish as shade. Like if I call you and I be like, Nicole, who's at your house? I'm coming. You having a party? You be like, girl, it's a lot of fish here. Oh, girl, I may or may not come because I'm like, girl, so you got a lot of fish at your house? I'm not there.
Click in the live. You said for me to take the gloves off. Click in the live. That's why I gave the stream to everyone. If you want to have it to share the live, I want y'all to come on. I don't want to speak for everyone. I only can speak for myself, but I speak in and being a part of a community for a long time. So if you are Black and you are a trans woman and you have something to say, or a biological woman, please use this time to come on and speak your mind.
We got over 400 some people in here. Let's get into some things.
Come on. If y'all want to come on.
They said it would be more powerful for us to be truthful. I feel like we are being truthful. But the end of the day is what's more powerful is the fact that y'all have taken over our content and our stuff is going viral and it's becoming to mainstream media. And now you guys are feeling some type of way about it because the underlining thing is y'all really don't give a damn whether we say fish or not. You just want to be able to use the word faggot and tranny. And the fact that you feel like you can't use that word, you're looking for a reason to be offended.
Yes, amen. And because it's not the word cis, again, like I said, didn't even come from our community. It came from a whole bigger situation. It did not come from our community at all. If we come on and show our faces but say something offensive, our livelihood is threatened.
So we got So Extra Blog. Who is this? I don't see you. Hello.
Hi, Armand.
Hey, I can't do the dark. I mean, you got to give me something. Where are you in the dark?
Hey, boo. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I don't feel comfortable being shown. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. I'll give you. You can have that. You can have that.
So I'm particularly interested in this topic because I know that it's very offensive to some people. So I was hoping to learn a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the young lady's name in the beginning.
Nicole.
Hold on. Your name is So Extra Blog, and you're not comfortable being on camera. How you a blogger?
I'm actually anonymous on my blog as well.
Oh, okay.
My name is Nicole, babe. Nicole.
Nicole, can you tell me why you don't like the term transgender?
Truthfully, it's because it takes away from what I fought for in a sense. I did this because I felt and am and think and walk like a woman. And for us in my age, because I'm older, that's what it meant. We came out, we wanted to be a woman. There wasn't the term trans woman. So just how y'all are upset about the term cis, I need to say that where I come from, trans woman was never a word. We didn't call that trans women. You had transvestite, you had transsexual, but you did not have trans women. And so once that they did that to us, caller, and then created an umbrella with all these other different identifications, here we go again. They're always to the trans woman. As soon as we get any type of clout or get any type of way, they want to bunch us up under the umbrella. And now it's transgender, trans women, binary, non-gender conforming, and all of those things are on the backs of us. And our job and our mission was to be a woman. And so trans woman kind of like takes away from that. And it makes me, well, if I can be honest, to some people, a chick with a dick. To some people, something that's not real.
So just to clarify, you don't like the term transgender woman because you feel that it separates you from a biological woman.
I think it separates me from what my mission, my purpose, the mission purpose was. Absolutely, yes.
Got it. So what would you say to people who feel that some people are taking this movement and using it as an opportunity to say, oh, well, I'm Black, but I feel like I'm white, or, and this has been coming up a lot recently, I'm 30, but I feel like I'm 13, and using that as an opportunity to maybe take advantage of other
Absolutely.
people.
I despise it completely. I have to say, I'm an advocate. I'm a loud community leader in my community. I've got more than 25 years, and I will say that it just all takes away from what our existence is now, because those things weren't created for trans women. You need to get that, because for us, we were just basically women. They were created for other types, and I want to be respectful, other types of identifications, and making it legal or giving them rights as non-binary, gender non-conforming, and all those other things that just came along. So keep in mind, caller, those things just came along too. Trans woman just came along too. All of these things just came along. And for me, just like I feel for women, don't go watering us down. I hate when I hear people water down what a biological woman is. This is the lady who brings birth to mankind. I hate to hear it be watered down. The same as for myself and everything that I have been through and went through to get to where I am. How dare it be watered down because of other things that are now being brought to the forefront?
Got it. So you think it's a distraction from
Yeah.
the purpose of the movement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And not just a distraction, it also, it's almost like, and I say this with love, a push out the way for me. Like, okay, remember, if you come from a time where I came from, trans women and none of that shit was out loud, and we were all under the ground. And when the time came for us to get any type of life and any type of acknowledgement and acceptance, you had all these other things that came along, and that has possibly confused people, because you'll walk up to somebody thinking that they are a trans woman, and they'll tell you, no, miss, I'm a gender non-conforming.
No
And then
call-in number. You got to click
then
the
you're
link.
confused all over again, because you're like, you're not a trans woman? You know that that's a guy. You know
Right.
that they dress in woman clothing. And for you as a woman, you're saying, I think I'm being respectful by calling her a trans woman. And now she tells me that she's not a trans woman. And so that is confusing on your behalf as well.
Yeah. What do you say to people who feel that there is a gay agenda? And what I mean by that is people who feel that there is an agenda specifically targeting young Black men to quote unquote convert them to homosexuality or transsexuality.
I think that that's bullshit. Can't nobody convince somebody to be something that they're not. Just like nobody can convince if there was an agenda and it was that easy to convert, I'll be honest with you, my dad would have made me straight in a heartbeat. So just like a person can't make me straight, I can't make a person gay. And there's nobody on this planet that's going to make me believe that there is just an agenda where we can convert little boys, because that's where it's going, little boys to be a thing that they're not. So we can nip that right there before that even starts to get started.
Right.
Next question. We're not going to do that.
I'm just asking.
No. Yeah, we're not going to do that at all.
All right.
Because that's where they try to take the narrative.
Yeah, we're not going to do that at all.
And that's the fierce part. You see, we can't even be have some type of conversation because the narrative being taken all the way over to that somebody's converting nothing. Do you know I was 3 years old. I wanted a doobie. I wanted breasts. Didn't just happen. No one
Thoughts
touched
and
me.
opinion. Hold on, Nicole. Thoughts and opinion. You're live on the air. Thank you. So extra blog. Thoughts and opinion.
Hey there.
Hey.
I'm not sure if you remember me. I was the one that called in during the Wendy Williams situation, and I was just talking about a couple of things that I noticed with transgender culture and transgender women.
With the ideology?
Yes.
Okay, I was looking to email you. Yes, Nicole had wanted to talk to you.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Nicole.
So, hi, baby. How are you? First of all, I just want to say thank you for having enough courage to speak your mind in the respectful way that you did the last show you were on. And there were a lot of things as being and moving and growing and mission again, being the mission being a woman, I could relate and respect everything that you said. I just wanted you to also just think about how long it has been that we have been in slavery as trans women and then as black people, and how long it has been. And although things is being taken out of context, and yes, you're right, I got kids here now, I don't want my kids going in no bathroom with somebody with hair and all on their face. I don't want that. As a woman myself, I don't want that. But those laws were being created to make everyone equal, and as the United States of America, it says every man should be equal. And so those things have been brought about. But there's a huge amount of the trans community who mission, and as I say, mission is to be a woman. They don't respect it as well because we didn't have it easy like that. We had to work to walk in the footsteps of biological women. We had to work really hard and do things and involve our lives and things in order to get to the look that we want. And so on my behalf, I actually admire and praise our biological women, and I'm very grateful for them. However, I believe that there's a bitterness and an
Mm,
insecurity, along with ignorance, that
mm.
comes along when it's time to have this conversation. Like, how could we accept somebody with a 12-inch dick? Or how could that, if that's a man, that's a man. Regardless of how I look, you're gonna call me that just because that's what you want to call me. Now we're not being loving and caring and having a conversation. We're being ignorant and mean and fastidious.
Right. So I completely understand what you're saying, but there's a couple of things in what you're saying that we have to take in the fact that there's a fundamental truth about transgenderism and that there's a fundamental truth about womanhood.
Okay.
So with that said, if you are using the same language as me, we are not the same kind of person. Being a trans woman means you're transitioning into something else, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you are a trans woman, that means that you started off as something else and you became a woman, or your
Mm-hmm.
definition of woman. So
Mm-hmm.
I think right off the bat, when trans women say things like trans women are women, right from you've just completely negated your argument, because in the very title you're something else. You recognize that you began as something else and transitioned into something else. So that's one. Two, when we start having a conversation where it ends in you're being ignorant, transphobic, homophobic, any of that, but you don't actually respect the fact that there's going to be someone who doesn't agree with you. If the only viable solution to this conversation is me agreeing with you, and anything else is me being transphobic or homophobic, you're not actually interested. And I'm not saying you specifically, you're not
Okay.
actually interested in having a conversation that recognizes that there's going to be two points of view and that
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be in alignment with mine, and that we
Mm-hmm.
can both coexist. You and I can still be neighbors, you and I can still be friends, but at the end of the day, there are some distinctions that we have to make with one another, and we have to be able to respect the fact that I should be able to say that a trans woman who is still in a lot of ways male presenting, if you look like a woman, there's nothing I can do, I won't be able to tell. But if you are still a male presenting trans woman, you're not working hard enough to convince the rest of us that you are biologically woman, and that's your responsibility. The next
Mm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
is that with the trans movement, a personal thing that I've noticed is that the trans movement, and this is something that has happened over the past few years, is the identity politics and gender politics. So much has happened over the past few years that we all forgot where this began. The idea of trans lives matter began years ago, about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when people were saying Black Lives Matter. And then it became All Lives Matter. And then it became
Mm-hmm.
Gay Lives Matter. And then it became
Mm-hmm.
Trans Lives Matter. So it seems like whenever there's a civil rights movement, every other group seems to find a way to kind of co-opt or take over the movement for their own benefit. And that's where you start to see things like you have even white, gay, or trans people saying things like, we know what it's like to be Black because we face the same level of discrimination. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, 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 yes. Mm-hmm.
It's fundamentally untrue. But what I had mentioned in the previous video with Armand is, what do you have to say about legality? What do you have to say about the fact that there are literally laws that make it so that as biological women, we fall second place to trans women? If I tell you I don't want to be in the same room as you or bathroom as you, the laws say that I have to be quiet. If I tell you that I don't want to compete in sports with you, I need to be quiet. If I tell you that I'm not comfortable with you telling my children about an ideology that has a 40% suicide rate pre or post transition, if I'm telling you that there's fundamental flaws in the concept of transitioning, especially when you're talking about hormone replacement therapy, for the ladies that are in the chat, the week before your period, I'm not a crazy person, but you're very moody, you're very emotional because your hormones are out of balance. What are we going to do to talk about the fact that that when you start talking about more salacious things such as trans women are more impacted by violence? Do you think any part of that, even one smidgen of that, has something to do with hormone replacement therapy, or the fact that hormonal transitioning actually makes you more predisposed to aggressive behavior?
Yes, I totally, yes, I do. I believe that while we taking these hormones to accomplish the mission of being women, there's all types of emotional unbalance and emotional issues that we deal with. We actually have and have all the symptoms of a pregnant woman or a woman who has a period. And so I may not believe like the biological woman, but I still experience all the different emotions because I am taking medicine to help to unbalance the testosterone and uplift the estrogen. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. I understand what you're saying, but we don't know the long-term effects of testosterone and hormones. One thing that I can tell you is that, and this was actually brought up by another YouTuber probably earlier this week, that I've known for quite some time because I've actually worked with trans women and I've also worked with LGBT centers in the past.
Okay.
Hormone replacement therapy. One thing that people don't seem to recognize is that there's a large element of hormone replacement therapy that is actually used to treat cancer. So are you aware of that?
Yes, yes, we are aware of aware of that. But let me ask you something. Just like for anything that you want to do and you want to be in your life, there's nothing that's going to stop you. There's things that come with everything in life. And so, yes, with hormone therapy, there's a lot of risks, but the risk is high for a lot of different things in life. But when you are something so strong and so enough, the risk is worth it. And so that's not something that should be used or said into I guess break down or to create the disconnect between me being a woman and because of what those risks do. We Black women don't do what they want to do, they do what they have to do. And so as a woman and being like that, you're going to do whatever it takes and whatever you have to do to make that possible.
That's okay. So right there, I do disagree with that, because if I'm talking to you about a hormone replacement therapy that is directly linked to cancer, so you developing cancer in the future, and you guys are, and not you specifically, but the trans movement is talking about transitioning children, at what point are we going to stop saying how I feel is so important that I should be able to chemically castrate children in the process? At what point do we get to stop and say, you know what, transitioning hormonally has a massive impact on a person's biology? It not only makes them more predisposed to genetic illnesses, it not only makes them more predisposed to infertility, it also makes them more predisposed to violence. So the other thing that I find is when you look at the statistics and the numbers of trans women who encounter violence, what ends up happening is they get lumped into one number. So they'll say, they'll say something like 30 trans women this year have been killed. How? Was it through physical violence? Was it through car accidents? How did they end up dying? So do you see what I mean? It's the same thing that they do whenever they're trying to create a sensational number. Nobody tells you about the levels of violence that they're actually engaging in. So there was an
Okay, so
incident with a
can
trans
I ask
woman.
something?
Hold on. I mean,
Um,
this might be this. Listen, I have to be honest with you. When it comes to violence, I kind of feel like, you know, transitioning early on probably will help the violence rate versus transitioning the person later on. Because if you
and who's responsible for that? The
well,
mother,
and
and the father.
and also if you transition earlier
Not
on,
according to law.
and if you transition earlier on, whether you agree with it or not, you just develop a more, you know, people don't like it, but a more fishier look, for the lack of a better word, earlier on in your youth than you do at 30 years old after you've been fully developed as a man. And here you are now trying to transition. You look hard as a rock. So you're more prone to violence as a 30-year-old transgender just starting than you are as a transgender who has, you know, transitioned at 14 and now you're 30. You look totally different.
Right. But is there also okay, so I can see that argument, but can we also agree that there's an argument to be made for a person who has gender dysphoria? So, you know, emotionally or maybe mentally, this person's also more predisposed to depression, anxiety, mania, for example. And with that said, they already are emotionally unstable or emotionally unbalanced. And then we add hormone replacement therapy to it, which also makes you, if you're transitioning into a woman, makes you a little bit more emotional. If you're transitioning with testosterone, makes you a little bit more aggressive. And then you add that on top of the fact that they're transitioning and maybe people aren't going along with their transition. So all of that is a sparkling cocktail for violence. So your mental illness, your hormone replacement, your emotional issues all come together. And before you know it, you end up being a violent person who also, by the way, if you transition to a woman, because you don't really hear about women who have transitioned into men wanting to go into men's prisons. It's only one particular way. They end up in women's prisons. And when you look at what's going on with that situation, Nicole, can you see where biological women have a concern about losing their rights or losing the ability to say no, thank you, we do not want this,
No,
in favor for? Oh, go ahead.
absolutely, especially when particularly talking about the children. However, I also believe that these are it's like having the right to do so does not mean that you should do so. And so the parent of these children or whoever is that's raising these children, they have to have this relationship and this connection with that individual in order to be able to help them and share all those things that you shared with them, and so that they can pick and choose the timing that they choose to do this. The fact that it is becoming available, I don't think this should be an issue because it was never available for us to do. And is it a problem because the availability is there? Or is it a problem because more mothers and fathers are being open about the conversation and allowing their children, on top of everything you just expressed and everything you just said, allowing their children to be what they call to have their happiness?
Right. Okay. So, I see what you're saying. However, can we also make the argument that what about the detransition rate? What about the levels of detransitioning and the fact that medical doctors who actually there are medical doctors who have actually resigned from hospitals, from clinics, saying that transitioning children is wrong, but when they try to speak up, they get silenced because the trans movement is so loud. It's difficult to criticize the trans movement because if you say, no, this makes no sense, you're listed as homophobic, transphobic, all sorts of phobic. Why is it that we can't have a conversation about the fact that transitioning and trans visibility is so visible that the majority of people who transition, if you look at the statistics, are in between the ages of, I believe it was something like 11 and 19. during your most formidable years, when you're trying to figure out who you are as a person, when you are wrestling with your own identity. Like during the last live, people were saying that I'm white. I'm black and I'm very dark skinned. But during that time, during my high school years, I was everything. I was preppy. I was into the goth music. I was into hip hop. I was wearing FUBU. I was going through the gamut of figuring out who I was. And if you had proposed to me that maybe I was in the wrong body, because I was also very much a tomboy at a point, I might have bought into that. So it's one thing if you make something available to someone at a point in their life when they figured out who they are and they've come to a particular understanding that, this is who I am, and they're more self-aware. It's another thing if you make this available to them at a point when they're incredibly impressionable. And then on top of that, you add societal pressure and you add visibility in a negative way. So you make it so that people who are transitioned cannot be criticized. So they're not going to, and then also keep in mind, as an exercise for the people in the chat, type into Google, I do not support trans, or I do not support transitioning, and see how many results you come up. You'll notice that there's a visible absence of results, because you also have tech censorship working in favor of social justice.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. With all that being said, all that is correct, fine, and dandy. However, and I'm just asking, I could be wrong, right or wrong, but I just want to understand that it seems as though, like, what you're saying, I could agree with. I think it's completely right. And you know what? Those are conversations. However, doesn't it feel like, though, there is this almost like this push from the heterosexual and female community to find negativity within the gay and trans community? It's like they want to find a reason not to accept, or not to like, or like to go against. And it's almost like, what is your problem? What's the real problem that you have?
I heard she say, and wait a minute, let me say this. I heard you say that shouldn't we be able to have a conversation? Well, if you're looking at the chat, and I came here and I said how much I respect women, and I do, and I've raised children, and I've done everything a woman have done and everything. And the conversation becomes very ignorant, because somehow some woman or some lady is upset, and mind you, and I'm being in a respectful way, but she has to continue to be ignorant. So I think it also depends on the people you're having the conversation with, and you got to be really.
Oh wait, sorry.
Like you said,
are you? What, did I say something that kind of offended
you?
No,
not you. No, I'm talking about
I see. Okay, that wasn't
you
my
have to know.
intention.
You haven't said anything. No, we're having. You haven't said anything. I'm just asking, as far as like, is there, like, I'm asking you because you're very logical. Is there a piece of people? Because while I understand everything you're saying, I also just feel like in order for us to really have this conversation, we have to admit that cisgendered, or however you want to call them, heterosexual men and women, they just have a problem with gay and trans in general. It has nothing to do with children, has nothing to do with an agenda. It has nothing to do with detransitioning. It's the fact that they don't like the lifestyle. And we can't have these conversations without being honest about that, because that's where it stems from.
I agree. But here's the thing, though. There's two different communities that we're dealing with. So one, I can absolutely agree that there are biological women who have an issue with trans women, and there's going to be people who have an issue with gay people. But another thing is that we're also dealing with the African American community. So there are certain things that, quite frankly, I have dealt with in my own life when it comes to certain facts. I can honestly say that when it comes to dealing with the African American community about any kind of serious issue or big issue, I've encountered my own set of pushback. Like, you should see what happens when I tell my other friends.
Hello?
Oh,
yes, you're here.
Oh, welcome, Tabitha. I'm glad you came.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, I want to let her finish, though. I want to let Thoughts and Opinions finish, and then we'll get to the two guests that came on. Okay. Go ahead.
So all I was saying is that I understand what you're talking about. You should see the pushback that I get when I tell, my single mother friends who keep having children to stop having children out of wedlock. So I understand what you're talking about in terms of the ignorance. So the only way that I can approach this is from a facts and numbers perspective. And
Okay.
quite frankly, I'm so sorry, Nicole. I really and truly support what you're saying. And thank you so much for the civil discourse. But there's fundamental facts to back up what I'm saying. There's numbers and statistics to back up what I'm saying. And if we move away from, the emotional side of the argument, the numbers are quite troubling.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let's let Tabitha and Joseph go ahead. Tabitha, you'll be first.
Well, I came on. I just got out the shower, Nicole. I'm sorry I kept calling you. Can you hear
No,
me?
it's all right. I
Yes,
just
we
wanted
can
you to
hear
begin
you.
with this
All right.
conversation.
So I understand what the young lady is saying, if those are her pronouns. Um, to have statistics is great, but to have the lived experience is even more better. And just by listening to the narrative that you're saying, I'm not even suggesting or implying that you are phobic. I mean, you have the rights to opinion, just like everyone else has the right to self-identify with how they want to be viewed or how they feel. I myself am a woman of transgender experience. And when you say things like, women want to have the rights to bathroom without having to share bathrooms with us. Like, no one's in the bathroom to do anything else but to use the bathroom. I mean, this has been going on for years. Trans women have been using the bathrooms as they identify for years before this became like some type of law or it became visible. And the only reason why it's more highlighted is because now we are more in the forefront, where people are now realizing that we're here, but we've been living beside you, using your same bathrooms,
Yes,
raising children
yes,
beside you,
yes, ma'am. Yes.
raising families, and being in the community alongside you for years. You, however, were just unaware because you said something earlier, as though the fact that if you are male, if you are female presenting male, then that's your problem and you need to address that to become more. No one needs to appear anything for validation of someone else. Like, that was just the wrong statement, because
No,
I can walk anywhere and I'm not finished. And there are times when I'm walking and no one can know what I am unless I disclose that. And most of the people that are like me have those same experiences. So for you to say that it is up to the person and their transformation, I can't speak about detransitioning because I don't have that experience. And honestly speaking, neither should you. Statistics are
that's
good,
not
but
true.
unless you have that lived experience, you don't actually give like a strong argument for it. You can have all the statistics and data in the world. I work in nonprofit. I've been a public advocate for years and a policy advocate for years. And numbers are great, but there's a lot of data that people collect that we are not included in, which erases us from those numbers, which is why you see all these other numbers, because people are so prone to looking at the wrong instead of how successful it is for some of us who actually live as trans and to have these successful surgeries. Your percentage of 40% or whatever the number you gave, that may be for certain demographics. But for the girls that I know that have transitioned, this has helped me to live in my full self without fear of anything, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Facts do not care about your feelings, unfortunately.
Okay.
So,
I get that.
unfortunately, I do not like. I respect what you're saying, but this goes back to what I was saying when I originally spoke about this. If a biological woman who has had laws passed for her so that she can participate in certain experiences without having to deal or having to compete with men, and if a biological woman has fought for experiences traditionally and historically so that can do what a biological woman needs to do without having to compete with men, and someone who is formerly a biological male shows up and says, listen, this is what's happening now. I don't see why this is any of your business. I should have access to the same spaces as you because this is who I am. And the only respectable solution to that is for me to be quiet. At what
No,
point
I
are
don't
we
agree with
going to
that.
tell you that? Are you going to admit that there's a level of patriarchy built into that?
Listen, I agree to a point with that. I believe that everyone should have the right to their own space. I'm not saying that we should take away spaces or somehow infiltrate spaces that are not ours. But what I'm trying to explain to you, and as it pertains to competing, that's because you're competing with men. So that's the thing right there. I'm not a man that you would have to compete with because I'm a woman.
What
That's
if we're
number
both
one.
playing sports?
Excuse me,
What
I'm
if
not
we're both
finished.
playing for
I'm not
Garrett?
finished. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. I also raise trans children, and some of them particularly like sports. So just because you've never had, see, you're a woman, but you're not a woman of trans experience. So you don't know the ramifications of hormones and how they decrease certain levels in your testosterone to it's suppressed, like castration, where you actually have your DNA or your genetically now enhanced to that of a female as it pertains to sports. So I think that if someone is transitioning, right, and they are involved in sports, children just want to have fun, right? So let them have their fun. So if someone who was born male and transitions into female and they have done all the steps that they could medically to actually live their life, have their hormones levels, what is it, the estrogen levels increase and their testosterone levels decrease, then they're women. Because
That is
like if
not
you want to
logically
go,
correct.
okay, that's how you feel biologically. You're
It's
thinking
not that.
about
It's not how I
so you're
feel. It's
talking about
if I
genitalia. I'm off the
if I
genitalia. I'm
start
talking
giving
about
her
levels, mama. Listen,
Okay,
I'm
so
talking about
Tabitha,
something
let me
that I
let I'm
did.
gonna let her go, Tabitha, then I'm gonna let you go. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, so I think so, Tabitha. If I get this correct, so I understand what you're saying is that if you transition someone prior to puberty and you put them on puberty blockers, then they develop more in line with female metrics, right? That's my
Okay.
understanding. But if I start transitioning, keep in mind for the majority of people that transition prior to puberty, can we agree that that is medically dangerous for a child? So that's one. And two, when you say things like if somebody is transitioning and we put them on hormones and they fall in line with their metrics fall more in line with a female, that is not true, because if I take Armand and I put him on female hormones, his estrogen levels may lower or his testosterone levels may lower, but he still has the fist of a man. He still has a man-sized fist. If he just if he decides to punch me, his hand hasn't shrunk. It's still the same size hand. His body hasn't shrunk. It's still the same size body. He still has the hip ratio of a man. So
Wait.
Okay,
when you
okay,
start
okay,
talking
okay,
about
okay. Let's let them respond. Nicole
Let
or
me,
Tabitha.
let me,
Okay, Nicole, go ahead, Nicole. No, go ahead, Nicole.
wait a minute. That is not true.
Okay.
That is not true. I am living proof that my hands and my body has been completely turned around in my transition for my homes. I am living proof
Let me
from my
see.
back to my no Adam's apple, living proof that that is
Okay.
not true. Tabitha?
Okay. Go ahead, Tabitha.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I have it when we're talking about aesthetics and when we're talking about genitalia and being born one thing or
By the
another,
way,
I
hold
know
on.
that.
It's 700 people on this live right now. This is
And I
a
want
this
other
is this
people
is
to
a
come
lot.
on.
Listen
I'm
to
about
me.
to go share
Can I
this
finish?
because I want other people to come on. I want to hear from more biological
Yeah.
women.
Well,
My
can you
sister
go get
Tabitha,
London?
thank you.
Can you go get London and Monique and the girls? So
Yes, I'm
listen
going
to
to go
me.
get some here because I need for us to get on this floor. This
Okay,
conversation
let
needs
me
to
finish. Let me finish my statement. So when we're talking about aesthetics and stuff like that in regards to a man's hand and giving someone hormone treatment when they're young before that, to as they're in their pubescent stage, there are a lot of girls that I know from my age. I'm 46 years old who started
Hmm.
hormone replacement therapy at an earlier age, right? So yes, they didn't develop all
You
the
look
things
good
of
for
growth.
46, bitch.
Thank you so much. So they didn't develop, as they would have developed had they not been on hormones, right? So I'm not going to use the clinical or try to be clinical with it because I don't have that language, but I'm going to use the language of an educated person that I am. So I'm going to say this, whether it's metrics, biometrics, or whatever you want to use, there are a lot of women that I know who are hands are bigger than Armand's. There are women that I know whose backs are bigger than Armand. And then some of us will call them big boned or thick or however. There are women who wear size 13. There are women whose hands can palm a basketball. Mine can't. So at the end of the day, when we talk about aesthetics, we got to be very sensitive that there are women who probably look more masculine than me. And what do you say about that? Or did she leave?
No, she didn't leave. Oh, she left. She left.
Mm,
She left.
yeah.
She
Okay.
left.
And, and,
But she'll
and you
come
know,
back. But let's let Joseph have a conversation. Let Joseph say something because you done came on here and give Joseph. What
yeah.
you talking about? Okay. Did you unmute
I really want
yourself?
to get out.
I'm trying to unmute
Joseph,
you. You muted yourself. Unmute.
Y'all can hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Nah, I was just thinking, like, I don't understand, like, when did, like, us as a gay community or just people in general become so sensitive? You understand what I'm saying? Because this is not something that just started. Stuff going on for, like, forever. I feel like the problem arose when we started making what we do as gay individuals public. Like when the lady was talking about the bathrooms. I've been in high school and I've seen a lot of transgender women using the handicaps bathroom for years. There was no problems, there was no situation. Obama started passing this law about the right for transgender to use a private bathroom or Pacific bathroom. That's when all these stuff started arising. I feel like it's the mainstream media or the way that is being put or being forced on the mainstream media, and they don't know how to react to certain things, or mainstream society, they don't know how to react to it. And I feel like it's like in some ways that we force a lot of things on them instead of letting things gradually take its place.
Can I say something to that?
Go ahead.
That
Um, like I said before, I'm gonna say it again. For me, it's just that I think mainstream media has made us more visible, but I reiterate that we have been here for a long, long, long time. There have been trans men, but the language and everything were different. Like you were
Well,
fish, you were trade, you was cunt, you was like all this
okay.
language developed when we started.
Okay, so speaking of that, while we just have us in the RuPaul world, girls here, can we talk about the word fish? We have 700 people on here right now, and a majority of them are
I don't
women.
like that
Probably
word.
95% of them are probably female figures. Okay, so and they biological, cisgender, however you want to identify them. So you say you don't like the word fish. Do you feel like fish is a derogatory term?
Okay, let me say this. We take language and we play with it, right? Like the word nigga. I don't like that word. They say they try to make it more black friendly in terms of endearment. To call someone fish and to call someone cunt could be very, very violative and invasive to someone in this day and age. As I stated in my comments earlier, as we evolve, so does language. And as people are expecting for persons to be sensitive and respectful of someone's identity, we should also be respectful how someone's their use of vernacular or their words. Like, don't call a woman fish because that's not what she is. She doesn't like that, and she may take that very offensive. Don't call a woman cunt because that word, and you understand that word came negatively to them. You dumb cunt, etc., etc. So to us, and like, oh, bitch, you're cunt. But to a female, it's like that's not good. Like when we say, yo, my nigga, like that may sound like that's my brother, but back in the day, my grandmother was hurt by that word nigga. So we have to learn to stop desensitizing these words, making it socially acceptable because they can be violative, dismissive, and involuntary to other people. So I don't like the word fish. I don't like the word cis. I don't like the word cunt. I would completely do without the whole giving labels to certain things, but because I'm an advocate and I know that everyone has the right to self-identify. But if I tell you, don't call me tranny, and you say, don't call me fag, that should be respected. And when we get around each other, it's girl, fag, this, and that. Quick story. There was a woman who lived near me, and every time she would see me, for some reason, because I told her what I was, or before I told her everything was good. As soon as I told her, every time I came outside, I was like, hey girl, what's
wait,
up?
wait,
And my
or Miss James, or Miss Honey. Hey, Miss Honey
Right,
Girl.
And I don't like that. I don't like that. Don't clock my tea. And yes, bitch, yes, girl, dip vote, shablam. Bitch, don't try me. I don't know you, girl, like
my
that.
thing is, right. So, and to keep from going off on her, I ignored her. So then one day she was in the building with me. We was coming to sit, and I said, "Listen, I don't want you to think that I was like being mean to you, but I need to let you know that that is not how you talk to me. That is not how I present myself to you. So don't think that you can use this type of behavior and language as it pertains to me. I'm a 46-year-old woman, and I don't use that language with other women. Don't do that to me." And ever
Okay.
since then, she
Okay, we
doesn't
got to
speak to me
let
in
Joseph talk. Okay, go ahead, Joseph. Go ahead, Joseph. What you think? You like the word fish? Have you ever used the word fish with you and your boys, or what's going on? Tell me the truth.
But I think that we gotta stop as people. We gotta stop calling each other derogatory names, and then when somebody outside of our community use it, we gets offensive. Like female figures, for instance. I've heard female figures call each other transformers, robots, a whole bunch of shit
Okay,
to one
bitch.
another and stuff like that. But then how can you expect someone else to respect you if y'all calling each other that? And they say it out of anger. I've seen people get on Facebook with the lives calling each other's hard ass bricks, mans, and all this other stuff like that.
I'm
But
guilty
yet,
of it.
if
I
the
call
straight
Hope
dudes
Giselle
jump
a
under
brick
your
in a
post,
minute because she is
they
one.
say it's a
No comment. No comment.
That's a
Is the
big
caller back? Because I want to.
old
If the
football
caller is the
player.
caller back?
Yes.
Is the
So
caller back?
thoughts and opinion is back. Let's get into it, baby.
Thank
Where did you
you.
go? You
Because
can't. You gotta
first
let
of
us
all,
know
can I
when you
say
leave.
something,
Go
Amon?
ahead,
It is
I
one
Nicole.
of the
wanted to
most
say. I want
embarrassing
to thank
things.
you.
I actually, I was trying to. I ordered food and I went to go check on it, and out I went. Sorry, ladies.
I wanted to
Okay.
thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for having the courage and creating the conversation, because there's a lot of people in that chat. There's a lot of women in that chat saying a lot of nasty things. And I just want to say that I, Nicole Shanae Bose, respect you and appreciate you coming and having the courage to state
Yes.
how you feel. I just
Oh,
want to say that.
well, you know what? It's for one thing. At the end of the day, Nicole, whether or not we see things the exact same way, I would never let anything happen to you. I would never be in a position where, somebody's out here hurting you, physically harming you, and I'm just standing by and watching because you and I don't
Amen.
agree with how both of us identify and things like that. The only reason why I'm having this conversation is because there are certain things that are starting to have an impact. And I was one of those people in the beginning when people were saying, women should be able to use the bathroom, or trans women should be able to use whatever bathroom. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I used to chastise people for it. But then it started to move into schools. Then it started to move into education. And on top of that, if you take a look and you start to speak to people within the trans community, the LGBT community, because I am friends with trans women, I am friends with gay men, there is no consensus on what any one term is. Everybody's just kind of making things up as they go. So if you don't understand it, why do I have to agree with it? Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Right. We have a caller that just
So
came in. Somebody just came in.
yeah.
Is this Dazzle? What's going on, Dazzle?
Hey, hello. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's
Hey.
going on? Turn me down in the
Yes.
back. It's echoing. I can't do that. I think upon you.
Is it still echoing?
Hello? No, it's not.
Is
What's
it
going
still
on?
okay? Okay. See, I actually talk about this too because this is like very interesting. Actually, well, me, I don't really care about who's anyone screwing or doing whatever because I can't really take the dick for you. Excuse my language. I can't take the D for you, and I can't take the P for you. So on that note, I really don't care what you're doing. I just think that it's a whole respect factor. Just like you guys, like a trans woman do not want me to force different type of words upon them. I don't feel like you should force different kinds of words towards me. At the end of the day, if it's a lot of people telling you that they don't like the word fish, and you're trying to
Dazzle, your stuff is not working. It's disconnected. Daisies and lilies, are you here?
Oh, I can't hear.
No, we're trying to see daisies and lilies. Okay, you up. Okay, so continue with your conversation. Oh, Tabitha, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
So I also agree with I forget her name. Was it Dots or something? What was
It's
her
thoughts
name
and
that was on
opinions.
the
Yes.
I just
thoughts
remember.
and opinions? I definitely agree more of what she was saying. Like I have, to be honest, I come from a big family. I have like 7 sisters, right? And I remember, and I told Nicole this because I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I remember when I told Nicole that there was a time when I was hanging out, and for me, behaviors and language are a very important part of presentation, right? So this woman told me clearly that I would have not known who you was until you was hanging out with them. Of course, I had to defend them because I know who she was talking about. But she said, if you want to be a woman, you need to be around a woman, right? That could have been hurtful and presented wrong, but I submerged myself to do that. So therefore, I would have the right language and be sensitive to the needs of a woman, which is why I can say when we use derogatory statements, we should be very mindful that we don't like nobody calling us that. So we shouldn't call nobody else that. So it's just a matter of respect. And I too have been married for many years and work alongside many allies. And Nicole does know my body of work. Armand, I'm glad that you have me on your show. Joseph, I'm glad that I'm here and I'm meeting new people. But once again, I just think that this language thing needs to be addressed and needs to be respected.
We
Okay,
need to start
daisies
having
and
more
lilies.
conversations, educate ourselves as well as other people, because I feel like a lot of these things happen is because the lack of education and the lack of communication. Like for instance, today, like I identify as a gay male, and my family knows about me. You know what I mean? And my brothers, I got 7 of them. I was on the steps smoking a cigarette, and my brother came out. Was in a car with my older brother and his girlfriend. He comes out the window, and I'm sitting on the steps, and mind you, broad daylight, chilling. He was like, "Hey, what's up, big sister?" And I just started laughing. Like, I mean, before when I was younger, I was upset when people would call me sis or miss. But I'm 34 years old. I'm comfortable in my skin. I know I'm a man. I don't need
Oh, you
nobody
look
to
good for
validate that
34.
for
Let
me.
us
You
see.
understand
Get
what I'm
close. Take
saying?
your hat to the
So,
back.
like,
Let me see. Let's see.
Yo,
If you're
Armand is a
34,
kid.
take your hat to the
nah,
back
but
so
I
we can
just like,
see.
but I'm just saying, like, I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm able to joke around with my
He not
family and
that
stuff
comfortable.
like
He
that
didn't take his
on
hat to
that
the
type of
back.
level and still be comfortable. I mean, shit happens. I mean, people gonna call you Miss Thing at times,
You ain't that comfortable. Hold on.
but
Can
that's
I
not.
just say something to that?
929 I'm gonna try to see if we can take these calls. 929-8589. I want to see if y'all can hear this. So let's see. Hello? 929. Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Can y'all hear this caller?
Yeah, I can't hear. I
Yeah.
can't.
Hello?
If y'all can hear her,
Hello?
respond.
Yes. Hello. How you doing?
Yes. Hello.
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 Can y'all hear her?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear her.
There's a there's a bit of a delay.
Yes, it is. But go ahead and ask your question. Okay, this not
Caller, are you
working.
there?
This not working. How we thought it was gonna work. All right. I don't know if it's gonna work because you know
Okay, can
what?
I just say this?
Yes.
Can I just say this? Irie, I love you. I see your comments. Don't be offended because we're not like, I mean, everyone has the right to opinion. I love you, Irie. Thank you for being such a fierce advocate about them and just telling people, but they're not stupid. It's just their opinions. And people, I've dealt with that all my life. So it's okay when people say or think. It's what I respond to. So pay it, girl.
Okay, Joseph, we're gonna let you go. Thank you so much, Joseph. Bye. Where are you from? Shout out your social media.
I just think we look for too much acceptance for other people. We gotta accept ourselves. We ask a broader range of people to accept us, and I don't think that we accept or respect ourselves enough to demand it from other people. You understand what I'm saying? Because my grandmother always said that people treat you exactly how you treat yourself. And
Thank
like
you.
Nicole was saying, like people fought for what it is that they are and what they become, and nobody should deter them from what it is they become and what they are. And I feel like nobody should allow anybody to make them think any otherwise, because nobody knows what anybody's going through or what's in their mind, and people have to be more understanding. That's why I respect Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, what they doing with style. even though that's getting a lot of backlash on it, but that's their child, and that they have to do what's best for their child. That's nobody else's business or opinion, if you ask me.
Thank you, Joseph.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Joseph.
we got okay. Let's get Daisies and Lilies on here. Okay, Daisies and Lily.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, I wanted to say I don't know if Nicole is the same woman that came on when we are for your first live and she
Yes,
was
that
just
was
talking.
the same one.
I thank you. Thank you for a lot of what you said because I feel sometimes like, and I don't personally know a lot of trans women, but it does make me feel really good when I hear that a trans Black woman is speaking life into Black women. My issue with what's going on right now. Okay, Armand, I appreciate your platform, but you hurt my feelings with a lot of the things that you say as a woman, especially because
Okay.
I've had gay male friends who have literally asked me to use my womb, my God-given womb, my body to have kids for them. Like wanted to have kids with me.
Okay.
And to me, and I've heard of that happening. I'm sorry, my dog is going crazy.
Listen, okay,
Anyway.
okay. So let me let you look. Let's address the hurting
No.
of your feelings really quick. Hold on, let's do that. So this is what you need to realize, okay? This is probably one of the only platforms in this sector of the people use. So when I love all these people. I don't have a beef with anybody, but I'm talking Lovely T, Daytime T. These are my girls. Tasha K, Storm Monroe, anybody impressive, anybody in the celebrity news, gossip, commentary field. Love them all, right? We all do different works. I'm probably one of the only people that give an actual opinion. We all have strengths. Some people roast, some people report, some people put videos together. I am one of those people who actually have an opinion and I stand firm on my opinion. So everything you're not going to agree with because it's my opinion. So I don't want you guys to take offense to what I'm saying. Instead, I want you to respect the fact that I will stick my neck out there when in a realm where many people won't do so and say, this is how I feel, whether you agree with it or you don't. So I get a lot of backlash because I'm one of the only, if not the only person that literally says, this is how I feel. And I put myself in a position to where on any given day, I can have 1,000 to 2,000 to 700 people listening to me, criticizing my opinion. So yes, do I have certain opinions and thoughts? Absolutely. Are they going to always align up with your opinions and thoughts? No. But I ask of the listeners, do not crucify me and don't hold me to certain standards where you hold other people, because they don't do the same thing that I do on their platforms as I do on mine. I'm not here to deliberately hurt your opinion, but I also ask the listeners here to understand that I'm one of the only people on this platform in this sector that will have an opinion and tell you exactly how I feel. A lot of people are not doing that. And it's not no shade because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. I can't do what other people do. But so this is one of my strengths. And so I when people say I hurt their feelings, it's like, okay, I hurt your feelings. But at the same time, it's like, what do you want me to do? Would you rather me be fake? Or because I can only tell you my experience. Hello?
I definitely want you to know that I wouldn't be here if I didn't support you.
Okay.
Because
I don't want to hurt any of you guys, but I think a lot.
Hurt.
Okay.
There's a difference between disagreeing and being hurt by something, and still I can support you.
You're breaking up, love. I'm not sure.
Woman, because I'm a mature woman, I can still support you, and I can still support even trans people, women and men, and still have whatever issues that I have. But my issue is not so much even with trans women. It's that I feel like Black women's wombs right now. Do you understand that there are uteruses transplants going on right now. Transplant women
Baby,
and put it
baby,
into
baby, your phone, you call it, your phone is really breaking up. It's breaking up a lot.
Yeah, and
I
I don't
can't
want
hear you as much as I
hold on,
want.
and I don't want because then people will go and make this to be a dramaful thing. But I'm just saying, like, I get a lot of backlash, but this was me on Facebook. The trans community hated me on Facebook. The black women hate me here, and I have to realize it's because I have an opinion. And I'm not saying I'm no better than anybody else because everybody is great at what they do, and I can't do what everybody else does. But the thing that I'm strong at here is just telling you how the fuck I feel. That's one of my things. So my thing is, yes, you're not going to agree with everything I said, but don't hold me to the coals or don't compare me to others in our sector because we're essentially all different. So
Ooh,
the reason why you
Jesus.
might be upset with me is because I'm actually telling you, yes, I do feel like females can be catty. I do feel like I don't trust half of the females that I meet because I feel like there's an underlying shade. It's not that I don't like black women, but I'm a gay man, and I will tell you that on this platform, particularly as a black gay man, at some point, everything is not going to be about the black woman struggle. We are going to talk about the gay struggle. We are going to talk about the trans struggle. We are going to identify those things. And I'm not Flame Monroe. I'm not going to sit here and coon out for a super chat, a donation, a PayPal, a Cash App. I don't live in those realms.
Amen. Come on, Jesus.
But it's not
So can
because
I
that's
say
just who I
something?
am.
Can I say something? In all your
Go ahead.
honesty, I do, in all your honesty, and that's great because, as a person of color for Unite, like we've always been told to be quiet, don't say how we feel because it's not socially accepted. Even when trans women speak out, either we're being too sensitive, aggressive, or we're just somehow calling everybody transphobic. But I will say this in regards to a female and them, someone who's biologically born female and have a womb. Those women have the rights and agencies to their body. Everyone has rights and agency over their body. So when we speak about impregnating someone and they have to go, we don't like. I would never understand what the gestation phase was like. I would never the experiences I would like to. But we need to respect people's agency and how they like to be with their body. Does that make sense, Armand?
Yes. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to mute you because we got to get to the two more people. Okay, so go ahead. We got Jayla and then we got Philly. Okay, let's go, Jayla.
Okay, so what I have to say is I'm 22 years old. I am a trans woman. My name is Jayla Jaylon. I recently had my first experience with one of my sisters, a cisgender black woman, put me on blast about me being trans. She didn't know me from anywhere. I live here in Los Angeles. We're on set, and I'm playing a role of a trans woman. But everybody, all the trade, everybody thinks I'm a regular woman, and they're talking to me, being so friendly. I feel very comfortable. It's my first time being on a project like this. She says, "Oh, are you trans?" in front of everyone, and I feel like common sense. Like I'm 22, you're probably older than me. Common sense to ask. You pull me to the side. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you pull me to the side and you ask me a question like that because you don't know me like that. And I feel like I present myself as a woman. People see me as a woman, and that's how you should respect me. That's the way I respect myself. And if somebody put me on blast, I feel like, was that I don't know. That's where it makes me feel like what is the problem with me being who I am and living my life out loud? Because another thing is I wanted to address to my sister Nicole. I am 22 years old and I have no problem with telling somebody that I'm trans. I feel more comfortable with people knowing that I'm trans, but I feel like that's my business. So let me put that out there. You don't just ask me a question like that out loud. I don't want to contradict myself, but I'm just saying, like, as a trans woman, I don't mind people knowing. I feel like it's 2020. I feel like this is where life is going, regardless if people like it or not. All the time, Zeta or whatever Dwayne Wade's daughter is, it's gonna be normal. So I feel like me being a trans woman, I'm still a woman. Like regardless, I feel
Well, I
like
think
when
a lot
people
of
say
people
you're a
do
trans
too.
woman, when people say you're a trans woman, I feel like you just want to, at the end of the day, I look just like you. When me and you sit right next to each other, we look just alike. You know what I'm saying? We got the same booty, same titties, same hair, everything. Nobody knows. So for you to put me on blast and ask me, are you a trans woman, or try to disclose that to everyone, I feel like it's disrespectful because you're trying to, biologically, yes, I was born male, but I identify as a woman. I present myself as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like Nicole was saying. And I feel like at the end of the day, like, your genitalia doesn't define you. At the end of the day, we have animals that have penises and vaginas. Does that mean that it's a woman and that's a man? A dog has a vagina. That doesn't make the dog a woman.
Trans women are still women or just a woman, but women are cis women. They don't understand that. Okay, let me let Philly say something. Okay, go ahead, Philly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, somebody got a
Okay,
hell of a background
so I'm
going
gonna
on.
talk and get off of here. Earlier in the show, whoever that thoughts and bots or whatever, she was saying a lot of the stuff she was saying was problematic. She was using a lot of tactics and a lot of talking points that can only come from a problematic and just a ridiculous kind of person. And so, for you to have this kind of platform and then to let her be up there
Can
saying
you
all
scoot
that kind of
over?
stuff,
I can't see you. Scoot over to the right. To the right. Okay, right. Scoot over in the camera.
yeah, for her to be up there saying all that kind of stuff, it was really, if you have something that big and that something with that much outreach, you kind of have to use responsibly, and you can't just. And I guess she's back again, but basically, what you were saying, where I'm talking to thoughts and opinions. What you were saying, those kinds of things are rooted in
Say the word transphobia.
what
Say the word transphobia so we can just.
you are transphobic, not you were, you
Okay,
are
there we go.
transphobic.
Right.
Okay, is that better? Okay. So, like I was saying, the kind of things you say are rooted in transphobia, homophobia, and all those kinds of things. Because those talking points, talking about children, detransitioning, all this kind of stuff, you are making a ridiculous situation out of a real life situation. There are so many people who are actually affected by those kinds of things, and you're making a joke out of it by saying, "Oh, well, they detransition." And the women's bathrooms and all this shit. What people do in the bathroom is none of your business. That's not something you should be talking about. That is none of your business. Point blank.
What I said was problematic. So if I'm bringing up facts and I'm bringing up statistics and you're bringing up emotions, which part of what I'm saying is problematic? If I'm literally
okay, all you do is sit and Google all day. You cannot go off of Google. You cannot tell people to Google this and Google that and then expect us to be real live data. That you have not talked to these people. You do not know real life what they go through. I'm not a trans person. I am a cisgendered man, so I cannot speak for any trans person. But they have told me the kind of things they go through, and you cannot get that shit off of Google. You can't.
Right. So going back to what I was saying initially about facts not caring about your feelings. If you bring up facts when you were speaking to someone about transitioning, if you're speaking to someone, I get the exact same response when I speak to people about personal responsibility. If I'm talking to you about real things that I'm really seeing, and I believe you actually missed the part of the conversation where I was talking about the fact that I've actually worked with trans women. I actually started a business at one point for trans women.
Okay, so the kind of things you said in this live chat, do you say those things to those trans women that you've worked with?
Women actually present as more female. So when you start saying lazy words like problematic because someone is using facts and
no, you think it's lazy because I'm telling you what it is. You think it's lazy because someone is telling you that you are what you are. You are problematic. The things you say do not help anybody. They don't help anybody. Like you cannot sit around and Google.
Okay, hold on, Philly. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're
helping
gonna let her talk, and then we're gonna let you finish. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Thoughts and opinions.
So this is the mental laziness that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So if I'm talking to someone about facts and evidence, things that we can all see, things that we can all use, metrics that we can all use to have a discussion, and someone is mentally lazy and they go, well, what you're saying is problematic because you're not talking about the feelings or the experiences. What about my experience? But the thing is, though, your own personal experience cannot be used as a metric for which you gauge an entire conversation about the impact that something has on the greater society. Can we all agree on that? If I'm talking about laws, if I'm talking about policy, if I'm talking about medical transition, if I'm talking about science, law, and I'm talking about things that we can all see and impacts that we can all feel, media, why am I talking to you about your individual experience? So what ends up happening, and this is part of the reason why, if you take a look at, again, statistics, there's been a decrease in LGBT acceptance. Why? Because as soon as you start trying to have a conversation about anything of substance or anything that has to do with how people live their lives outside of the LGBT community in relation to the LGBT community, you immediately get the transphobic, homophobic, misogynistic, blah, 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 blah. You get all of this just thrown at you as a means to shut you down or shut you up.
Okay, now let me finish that. Okay, I don't know how long you've been watching me, but that same can go for the conversation against anything against Black women other than kissing their ass. Because anytime you're saying Black women can do something to improve, they're canceling you. They're upset.
That's right.
You need to kiss their ass. So I go through that daily dealing with my audience on YouTube. So I agree, but we just got to make sure that it's clear for both parties.
Armand, you will get no pushback from me. And I said this earlier on in the conversation. I have the exact same problem when I talk to my Black friends who are single mothers who keep getting pregnant by different bum dudes. And I say, stop having babies out of wedlock. Stop giving your body to men who don't value you. Stop using the system as a means as a babysitter. Stop getting pregnant and using other women as a substitute father for the father who should be raising their children. And you should hear, I might as well have told them to cut off an arm. So this is not just one directional. But what I'm talking about in this particular situation is when I say that trans women have absolutely every right to live their life the way that they want to do it, but I have a right as a biological woman to say there are boundaries that I would like to have protected. So for example, if I want to have sports where it's only biological women competing, I shouldn't have to say, oh, I don't want this to happen. And then a trans woman's able to say, no, it should happen. And if you can't measure up and you can't compete with me, then that's your problem. At what point, and this goes back to everything I'm saying, is at what point are we going to have a conversation about patriarchy being built into transgenderism? Because I, as a biological woman, I'm sitting on a panel and I'm talking about basic biological facts and issues that biological women face. Protected spaces, abuse of power. Can't even go to prison without trans women being in there. And if you say anything, it's yeah, but, and at the end of it, shut your mouth.
Okay, let's let Philly respond. Go ahead.
Hey, okay. So, the you telling other Black women stop having babies, you know what you kind of remind me of is just that kind of like that hotel mindset. Like you think if the whole Black if Black people everywhere come together and kumbaya and shit like this, you are the reason people cannot do that. You are the reason people cannot do that, because if you are telling other people what to do, how to what they should be doing, that's not your place. You don't get to tell trans women if they should compete in men's sports or women's sports. That's you is really just so ridiculous, because people overstep their boundaries because the fucking internet exists, and that is not how shit works in real life.
Slow down, slow down. You getting frustrated. You got to talk. You can't curse.
Yeah, he's
Slow
not capable
down.
of making a logical argument.
Articulate yourself. You on a panel with 700 people watching. You have something to say. Slow down, baby. Get it out. You got time. Articulate, because she gonna eat you alive. If you don't articulate yourself, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. Slow down and say what you mean.
I might lose, but it's not a contest for me.
But it's not that. It's not that you're gonna lose a battle. You're gonna lose your message because nobody's gonna hear you because you're getting flustered. Just talk.
Because I deal with people who have the same kind of mindset. It's not about them, trying to be
what you want them to be.
What?
So it's not about them behaving or saying the things that make you comfortable, right? So them not using language that
obviously
you speak in a way that you prefer, right?
Okay, okay, come on. Whoever this is new that's on here, what you got?
All right, I have a question. So, Miss Bots, Miss Opinions, let's chat about your numbers. I just have some concerns. Are you aware that most of your numbers do come from really, really, really stunted sources? There are not a lot of studies. There are not a lot of people asking questions. People aren't having, oh God, honey, these are our lives. These are people you're talking about. Oh God, now you're fucking annoyed because I'm asking you about your sources?
Emotions.
Yes, the emotions, honey. These are people's lives you're talking about. You don't understand what you're doing right now. I don't think that you're being responsible with your platform.
I'm asking you to provide anecdotal evidence, not your feelings.
If you haven't subscribed right now. This is the greatest show on YouTube.
Hold on 1 second. Eye contact. Okay. Hi, how are you? I'm asking you about your numbers. I'd like to know where you got your numbers from. That's it.
Okay, so first and foremost, which numbers are you speaking about?
Let's go back to detransition rates. The suicide numbers with that.
So
what's your sample rate? How many women have you talked to?
So the sample rate that was used for that particular study, I believe it was a small sample that was done probably about 2 years ago. I don't have the exact study in front of me. However, when you take a look at the sample size that was listed in the report, so basically it was a medical report that was published in, I think it was Philadelphia, some place in the States. I'm not actually in the States. The detransition rate was somewhere between it was something along the lines of about 30 to 41% for youth between the ages of 11 and 18. So the reason I bring that up is I think I was under the impression that at some point we could all agree that there's probably a time when you should address transitioning. Hello?
Yes, you're here.
Okay, so I was under the impression that there's probably a chance or a time when we should discuss transitioning in a way that's actually effective. So if you're talking to a child.
Hello?
Oh, hello?
Yes, girl, we're here. Can you not hear us? You're gonna have to get it together if you're gonna
talking, but I can't hear you.
You can't. That is your fault. Okay, come back. You can go ahead and keep going.
Okay, so the reason. Okay, so Armand, this is part of the reason why we as a community we are never. One person's talking about evidence. Nicole's capable of having a conversation with me where the two of us disagree, but at any point, Nicole, whatever, like if even outside of this, if you ever wanted to have a discussion, if you want to go get your nails done together, I would love to. There's things that I could learn from you. There's things that we can maybe not agree on, but at the end of the day, you seem like a wonderful person to kick it with. And you seem like the type of person that I don't have to agree with absolutely everything that you do, but I'll always have your back, and I'm never going to let anybody mess with you. I'm never going to let anybody harm you. And if there's any way that we can kind of set up rules and guidelines so that your rights and your existence is protected, and mine is protected in a way that we can both mutually agree on, even if it overlaps a little bit, I'm willing to give a little ground. I'm willing to make compromise. But as soon as we start to have conversations about things that really that really affect us as a community, because transitioning and the transgender issue and the LGBT issue, and I'm only calling it an issue just for, whatever. it impacts the Black community differently than it does the white community. So when you start talking to, like, so for example, you as a gay Black man, you're more impacted by HIV rates than white society. So that's why negative stereotypes get associated with you more than them. So we can't talk about LGBT issues the same way that the broader society does, the same way that I can't talk about women's issues the same way that white feminists do. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So when we try to have these conversations and then all that you get is people throwing out trigger words and getting emotional and not even trying to recognize the fact that I'm not trying to harm you, I'm simply saying that there are facts and evidence, there's actual proof that some of the transgender ideology is an issue.
And I hold on before you continue on. I want to address this chat, because what we're not going to do is say that she's outnumbered and the trans and the gay men are bullying her. If there is hold on. If there are biological females, men that have something to say, I've been sharing the link all day. If you don't want to come in, that's on you. So don't come with that bullshit that she's been outnumbered. And for anybody that's saying that, I want my moderators to block them out the chat. Thank you. That's an immediate block for ignorance.
And I have enjoyed our conversation with her the whole time. So everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. And that's what this is about. People thinking and feeling and having their own opinion. I'm not here for the attacking, and I don't play that. I'm not a part of that type of mess. But sometimes the conversations get heated because people get emotional. And I get that. But let's all try to remain respectful. And I would never be a part of anything that somebody's gaining up on a biological. I'm just not a part of stuff like that. Is she still there? The young lady that was talking?
I just came back. Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to come back and make my mama proud. I want to apologize to Thoughts and Opinions. I didn't mean to come at you like that. You just got me really fired up. You got me really fired up earlier. I do want to go back and still push back on some of this. I still stand by my statement that a lot of this research is not well funded. There isn't enough actual data, enough actual women being asked. So you're defensive that you're providing facts doesn't really stand with me, because your facts aren't super strong. They aren't, because there's not enough data, period.
Okay,
and it's well documented. It's well documented.
Okay, so it isn't well documented, because here's one thing. If we can't even have a conversation about transgender issues and transgenderism without, people getting threatened, people being called transphobic and all of that, what makes you think that there's going to be a fair shake at investigating the issue on a medical level, especially when universities that are notoriously liberal are under the threat of being defunded? When somebody says that investigating the trans issue and investigating the transgender, the medical side of transgenderism is a problem. What do you think is going to happen when women are losing their jobs over saying things like women have vaginas?
Hi, everyone.
Do you really think that there's going to be a fair investigation into any of these issues when there's a threat of violence, threat of harm, threat of canceling, a threat of losing your job, when you can't even state biological facts?
Absolutely not. I don't stand for cancel culture. You're completely
You don't
right
think
there.
That's an issue?
I think it's an issue. I think you're right. I don't think cancel culture works. I don't think that canceling out women's opinions, especially cis women, biological women, doesn't help anybody whatsoever.
Okay, so if my facts are wrong, if I'm absolutely wrong about my evidence and all of that, can you tell me, where did you get your stats on the rate of detransition? Have you looked into rate of detransition? Have you looked into the impact of hormone therapy as it relates to male to female on so people who transitioned a decade ago? Has there been decades-long studies? Has there been 20-year studies, 30-year studies? What evidence do we have to prove that this is safe in the long term?
I think that's what I'm trying to point out to you. Your studies are also very, very short. You don't have studies to compare. You only have your studies.
Fair. So am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but I feel like you're not getting the full picture. You're not giving the full picture. You're not.
Okay, what am I missing?
You're missing the fact that the numbers are not there. They're not asking enough trans women.
Numbers? Be specific.
We're not talking to enough trans women about their experiences. Not now.
So
not ever have we done.
Size?
A fair sample size?
what would be a fair sample size, considering the fact that trans women make up 0.01% of the population? What would be a fair sample size in order for us to create a statistically relevant data set that we can use to gauge the rate of transition, the desire to transition, long-term effects of transition, the long-term effects of hormone replacement therapy as it relates to genetic disease, infertility? What would be an appropriate sample size for us to create in order for us to be able to assess those statistics accurately?
Something closer to the 0.5% trans women that exist than what we have right now. Literally hundreds of people I asked for these studies. It's just not enough data to go off to call them facts. That's all I'm saying.
So,
we need more studies.
Okay, so how many more studies would we need in order to make this statistically relevant? Because right off the bat, even when you think about transitioning and you're not a medical person, if you are putting hormones in a place or putting something in a place that it does not normally go or it doesn't normally belong in order to create a desired outcome, I think it's fair to say that regardless of whether or not you believe that there's a difference biologically between men and women, you are using the biological differences that already exist between men and women to assist you in your transition. So what I mean is, you recognize that women have breasts. You recognize that breasts are a result of estrogen. So you go to your doctor and you ask them to up the doses of estrogen so you can appear more biologically female. So with that said, you are acknowledging that there's biological differences between males and females, and you are using biological women, the women that you grew up watching, as a basis for your transition. You had to start somewhere.
But so even women have to start somewhere. Even little girls have to start somewhere. Little girls grow up watching their mother, because there's women, there's females that are not even women, who don't act like women. They act very, very masculine, or they just act very bangy, and you would look at them and be like, that's not a lady. That's not a woman.
Okay.
There's no guidelines between a woman.
Right. I think you're talking about behavior. I'm talking about biology. I didn't have to watch my mother and my mother's behavior to grow breasts.
Okay, I have one question.
My mother's behavior to learn how to put on makeup.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to know one thing.
To put on makeup.
That's fine.
Okay.
What's wrong with being a trans person? I understand what the young lady that's talking is saying, but what is so wrong with being a trans person? I mean, women have their own space. Men have their own space as males. Why can't trans forge their own space? I get why women are offended. They go through their own struggle. I'm trans. I just never understood what was so wrong with being trans.
There's nothing wrong with being trans.
It feels like
anything wrong with being trans.
It feels like it sometimes, because the girls that are trans on this line right now would rather be women, or would rather denounce their transhood for womanhood. Trans is an entity all itself.
I'm a trans woman, and I love being a trans woman.
I get that, sis. But women are women. It's okay for them to not feel like you don't fit into their group.
Right.
Because they can't fit into ours.
Exactly.
I don't understand why is it so problematic to be a trans person as a trans person.
Nicole, hello.
Yep.
You heard what she said? She's addressing the trans girls on the line right now. She's saying that you guys are trying to fit into this female ideology. Why is this? What's the problem with being trans?
Okay, so here we go.
I can jump into that. I don't have a problem with being trans. I think being trans is magical, and I do see it as something different for me.
Say something?
But I do respect people who think that's something closer
where my
to
mission was to be a trans woman, because back then, if you put trans or you said tranny, that made you look different than what you actually identify.
Sorry, I don't want to cut off any of the trans ladies. Sorry,
I can't hear.
And somebody else is talking. My lifestyle and the lifestyle that I live and always wanted to live with being married.
Basically, I said that I don't mind being othered. It's fine for me.
Hold on, Michelle. I mean, Nicole, hold on. We cannot hear you. Okay, so am I going to have to mute everybody? Nicole, go ahead. Nicole, you first. Nicole, go ahead.
Okay. So my lifestyle and what I am heading for and looking for. So let me say this first. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with being anything trans. In fact, this trans stuff
Hello?
just came about in the last couple of years.
I hear
However,
thoughts, but I can't
my
hear anything.
lifestyle and who I was striving to be, my mission, and I'm saying my mission as a woman and children and being married and having kids, that was not something I wanted to be boxed into. And sometimes the word itself box us in, like if we only that, and we are so much more than just that. We are so much more than what people say we are. And so these identifications box us in and isolate us, and it gives people the ability to think that we're all the same. And we're not all the same. We don't have the same mission. We don't have all the same struggles. We have similar struggles. We have similar situations, but as an individual, we have different things. And so when I come up in the 90s when it was about safety, when it was about being safe. And you didn't want to go around talking about you as a trans and this. You didn't want that because you had to protect yourself.
You're right. You're right.
You had to protect yourself.
Yes.
And so that's what it is for me. For me. And like now, even this conversation, I have 3 children I'm about to feed and put in the bed. And I don't need for them to have they thought thinking. They need to be able to think on their own. They need to be able to feel that what they feel on their own, not by me pushing the conversation and them hearing this name. No, that's not how it
I
goes. So for
understand,
some people,
Nicole. I understand 100% what you're saying, and you made a great point. We are so much more than just trans people, but the one thing we are not, sweetie, is women. You know what I mean? And
We
it's
are not
okay.
female. We are not female.
Wow,
Female,
you
sorry,
are
yes,
women.
female.
Biologically,
See, that's when it becomes
Fine.
problematic because you have some
Fine.
trans that say you're not women, and then so
Female
it's
and
very
women. To
confusing.
me, it's one and the same. To me, it's one and the same. That's all
No,
I'm saying.
female
And
is biological.
we are not one. Okay,
Female
young lady,
is biological. Being a woman
I get what you're
is
saying.
gender identity.
Yes,
Social
yes.
construct.
But that acknowledging that
Female
there
is
is a gender identity at all acknowledges that you are not a biological woman. You are not at all really
and there's
fully
nothing
women.
wrong with
And that's what
acknowledging
you guys carry yourself. But so many of you, what they're saying is so many of you carry yourself as such. You get offended
Right.
when people say
No,
you
I
are
know
or you are
that's
not.
biological female.
I'm sorry. Okay. I can
Can I say
it's hard
something?
to go ahead, dear. I'll let you speak and then I'll talk.
I know
Can
I'm
I
not
say something?
I know I'm not a biological female, but I am a woman. And a one like we were saying earlier, there are cisgender females that don't carry themselves like women. So at the end of the day, like I see myself as so I see myself as a woman. That's a social construct. That's my gender identity, what I identify as. But I know that I wasn't born, female. And that's why I'm a trans woman. When you go around,
absolutely.
I'm a trans woman. That's like the scientific. It's like you want to put the scientific term on it. It's me and a group of other females, and we go to the club, we all dressed up, and we looking fish. Sorry, we looking regular cisgender women. That nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna clock my T unless they know, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's a transgender woman." Because she wasn't born a woman. So that's a transgender woman. So what's the point of and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's out of me. At the end of the day, I see myself as a woman. If you want to get technical, I'm a trans woman. If you want to know my biology, I'm a trans woman. But I don't go around saying, "Hey, my name is Jayla. I'm a trans woman." No, my name is Jayla. How you doing? And I carry myself as a woman. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, there's no ifs, ands about it. Gender identity is different from biological, and there's nothing wrong with a trans woman saying, "I'm a trans woman. I was not born female." Okay,
right. But when a woman announces, okay, that's in that form, that's a trans woman identifying her struggle. Now, when a woman announces hers,
okay,
why is that a problem? Why is it a problem for her to say, "Well, I don't think you fit into this group, but it's okay. I love the group you're in." Why is that a problem? You know what I mean? That's all, I don't understand that.
I love my sisters. That's all I gotta say.
Can I say something?
Go ahead,
Can you guys hear me? I am so inclined to agree with thoughts and opinions right now because that's my narrative, right? And I say that to say this. For me, being born male, I always knew that I was a woman. Woman is a way of life for me. When someone is genetically born female, this is a something that was for, this is what the doctor labeled them as, because you have some people who have vaginas, but they're not. They can be a thought, they can be a whole. These are just labels, right? So she is anatomically born. She is born biologically female. I so agree with her, and for so
Well,
long
I
in this
wasn't. I was born
patriarchal.
transgender, and
Can I
thoughts and
finish?
opinions. I think was born
Can I finish?
biologically
Can I
female, and
finish?
her. Oh, sorry. Did
Can
I
I
cut you
finish?
off?
Can I?
My apologies,
No,
sis.
no, you can't. I'm sorry. I'm not finished. Here's the thing, right? It just not sounding. It's sounding like we're trying to take away her right to her expression, and she has every right to her space to say what she wants to say as a biological female, and that needs to be respected.
She not
Because
saying nothing
in order for
wrong.
us to even be here, excuse me, in order for us to be here, we had to come through a womb that is born
Yeah, that's
and
a fact.
associated with a biological, excuse me, wait a minute, with a biological female. She has the right to agency. She has the right to want her space, just like we have the right. She's saying that when we want people to respect our narratives and our space, we need to show the same in kind. So it's not
Exactly.
about bullying her. It's about understanding what she's trying to tell you, because it's not fair that it seems like she's being attacked. And from the outside looking in, that's how it seems like. And I just have to side with her in this one moment. She's only voicing her opinion. And what she's saying is not an instrument to hurt you. She's trying to educate. If you really listen, it may sound like it's coming from colonialism, but at the end of the day, in this hetero society, her beliefs are valid. Her feelings are valid, just like yours are. And when she says that she's the feelings from the facts, she's saying you with facts, and I'm hearing a lot of feelings.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I
Absolutely.
gotta say.
Okay,
Thank
who
you.
we
Have a
got?
good night.
Hey Jerry, what's going on, Jerry, in Philly?
Well, no, no, no. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, no,
What's up,
I'm saying,
Nicole?
Nicole right here.
So
I'm
I'm
right
at
here.
work. I'm at work. So some of the things that I had concerns about how thoughts and opinions was talking, and she was very trying to make a very concerted attempt to support and kind of diminish the trans moment in the sense of change. She's supporting it with facts. So like something that stuck out to me was her talking about the suicide rate.
You run
So
away.
what she doesn't realize that's a problem is that while you talk about suicide and you talk about
Suicide.
how
You
young
run
kids shouldn't
away.
transition,
Bad from
that's kind of
hurt.
hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Everybody else, could y'all be quiet so he can speak,
Okay.
please?
So kind of what I'm concerned about is that some of the arguments that you're using are also some of the same arguments while abortion is legal. So what people don't
Mm,
realize what the challenge is
mm,
in regards to what girls go through in order to
I couldn't
transition.
hear him.
mm, mm, mm,
You
mm.
understand? Like no one would put themselves through that if it wasn't something that was so wholeheartedly something that they would really wanted to do. So I need that to be something that is acknowledged. Something else that bothered me that stuck with me is that you had talked about made this comment about the girls going through transitions and taking hormone therapy and saying that it makes them more aggressive. So what we don't want to do that I'm concerned about is that we don't want to ever victim blame and say that we're promoting violence on ourselves because you can never say that a girl deserved to die or she deserved to be beat, struck, or hurt because she was transitioning and she had a mood swing.
Wow. Amen.
Maybe I'm at work and
Amen.
I had to come on a lot for this. So I hear you. I do agree to some extent that we want to be concerned about the children, but you have to understand. Go back to the abortion narrative. If a child says they want to transition, is it not better to be in a supervised environment and transition under health care than to be on the street pumping silicone in them?
Jesus. Jesus. Come on. Mm,
I
mm,
just,
mm.
I just, I'm like, I just wanted to make sure. I want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, and let me just say this on the behalf
People,
thoughts
because
and
people,
opinions.
because the problem is, hold on, and I don't, people go, we come from a place of emotion. No, we can speak from a place of fact, and I get your supporting facts with statistics and things that you've done research on. But sometimes you have to be in a moment in order to really be able to
Oh,
understand.
something's wrong. I can't
You
hear
can hear me,
him.
sweetie.
Mm.
She's saying she
To be a,
can't hear you, but
to
I
really
hear
be,
you.
You understand, to really be in a moment, to really understand what it physically looks like. You can provide us with statistics, but sometimes you have to have a tangible experience to understand what that moment is. And so,
Jesus.
I understand what your concern is, and you want to be, your narrative is we want to protect the children, and we also want to make sure that Black women are able to not feel restricted. But something else that stuck out to me is that you said at work, a woman made a comment about stating that how can a woman lose her job to saying that women have vaginas? So if you say that in the presence of a trans woman at work, that is with intent. Baby, we'll be going to HR.
Okay.
That's with intent. You have to own that. You can't be at work being disrespectful in any type of capacity and not be held accountable for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I gotta say.
All right.
All
Babe,
right.
I'm going back to work. Y'all be good.
Okay.
Uh huh.
We're getting to some things today, okay?
Just don't play with me.
Well, I just want to say this quickly that moving forward again, I'm going to clap my hands for thoughts and opinion. For me, she had not offended me in any way because I am able to allow her to have her opinion and what she figured out. However, we having the experience ourselves means something different to us, and we just all have to be able to agree to disagree. I like the fact that she even can sit up here long enough while no other biological woman have came and spoke, but they're going off in the chat.
They've been offered the right. Let's make that very clear, because they'll be quick to say that she got ganged up on by a bunch of gay people and trans people.
No, not by me, and I wouldn't allow that.
They didn't come on here, and I don't give a fuck.
Just super quickly, the gentleman that was speaking before, there's something up with my chat, or like the audio. I couldn't hear what he was saying, so I had to mute myself to try to listen to what he was saying from something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't not listening to him. I just couldn't hear. I literally couldn't hear anyone except for Armand.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But I caught a bit of what he was saying about about me kind of. Please, I'm paraphrasing, so correct me if I'm wrong, but he was saying something along the lines of me kind of chastising people for using emotions.
Yes, he mentioned the emotion, and he also said, the reason why you can't say certain things at work. You talked about, saying that trans women don't have vaginas and things like on the work, and you would be chastised for that at work. But any woman that says anything like that towards a trans at the workplace is using that and saying that with intent.
That's not correct. I disagree with that, but at the same time, he's allowed to have his opinion. But so the part of the reason why I keep coming back to the argument that we shouldn't be using emotions is because emotion is kind of how we operate as Black people.
Okay.
And emotion tends to be one of the things that makes life a little bit too difficult for us. So instead of us kind of recognizing that there's a time and a place for us to use logic and a time and a place for us to have discussion, we'll pop off on people, we'll yell and scream at people, we'll get into fights with people. And then when there's repercussions because of that, we tend to kind of fall back and go, well, I'm just speaking my truth. I'm just saying how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had the experience of dealing with someone where they say something completely inappropriate, out of pocket, in the wrong time and wrong place, and they try to hide behind, well, that's just how I feel, not recognizing that there's a proper way to have discourse?
Yes. Okay, let's Philly get on here. He's been dying to get on here. What you got, boo? Your background is trash.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go. Okay, so number one is emotions do not just come out of nowhere. They do not arrive like a bullet from outer space. Emotions come from lived experiences that people have actually gone through and things that have actually affected them. If someone is speaking from emotion or from whatever, that's because that is a actual situation that they have been through that has affected them, that has a real life repercussions. That is not something that people just make up out of the blue. Okay, so whenever you speak whenever you say someone is speaking from emotion or anything like that, it is a silencing tactic. It is something you use to discredit someone because, your hormones or you're PMSing or whatever. It's not something that is to be taken lightly, because if someone is speaking from emotion, there is a reason they are speaking from emotion. So that's not something that
Coming
you
from a
should just
place of emotion,
dismiss.
does that make people more or less likely to listen to you?
It makes people like you less likely to listen to me, but I don't care because you
You should
are
care.
so you're so involved in this in this intellectualism. You think that because you have
Using my brain,
numbers
right?
and statistics, you're so much smarter and better than everyone than
Right.
people who have actually been through this in real life. And that does not you cannot tell someone what they have actually lived through and been through.
When did I tell anyone what they've lived through? When did I tell anyone how they're supposed to feel?
No, but you didn't tell anybody anything. But what you did say was, oh, my statistics, my this and that.
What am I supposed to use? Okay, what metrics? When I give you
Maybe
statistics,
you should
what
just shut
metrics?
up. If you don't know what you're talking about, if the only information you have is from Google, maybe that is not a place for you.
Do
Maybe
you
that
not
is
think
not
that
something that
as
you
a
need
woman,
to
I'm
be
actually
well
walking
versed
through the
in.
world and actually seeing some of the things that are happening? I tell you in the conversation that I work with trans women. I have friends who are trans women. I have friends who are gay men. So it's not just a matter of me just using Google. I think that's a very lazy argument. And I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to negate the responsibility that you have to perform in a particular way that makes discourse possible. If you just want to show up with yelling and screaming and I'm not saying you're yelling and screaming, but emotion. If all you bring to the conversation is how you feel and what you feel is important and how you feel should be the premise for which a conversation takes place, why do you think that I should adhere to that? Why do you think I should care about
Because you
that?
don't
And
make the
why do you think
rules.
that laws and
That's why.
legislation?
Because you don't make the rules. You don't get to decide who is valid and who's not. You don't get to decide who's
Did I
emotional and
say that
who's
you're
not.
not valid?
That is not your place to say.
Did I say that you're not valid?
Oh my God, this is going on tonight, Amar.
And you know what? I'm off work tomorrow, so I got time today. But anyways,
Okay, hold on,
Like,
Philly.
the
Okay,
reason-
hold
like,
on,
the
hold on.
reason I come
Okay, we
back to
got we got elephants in the room and Miss Unbreakable. What's going on? Talk to me. Say something or get disconnected. We got a lot of people trying to come in here. Hello.
Hello. Hello. New
Elephants
callers.
in the room. Miss Unbreakable. Okay, y'all finna get up off here.
Like, you use your emotions for how you live your life, and then do you work like this? Like, do you go to work and behave like this? I'm curious. When you show up to work, like, you know how many times I've come.
I'm curious. Do you even have a job? Period. Would you know what it's like to go to work at all? Because no, I don't. I don't go to work and engage with people like this because the people I work with don't say shit to me with the kind of stuff you're saying. The people I work with do not invalidate and.
How did I invalidate you? How?
How did you didn't invalidate? You just dismissed and kind of used your own talking points as if they were more functional and more valid than what anybody else was saying.
That's not
So
true.
with that being said, I'm gonna calm down. I'm gonna let some of the actual trans women in this room talk. Y'all do your thing.
Oh my God.
Okay. Okay. Does any cisgendered or biological women want to come in here? Because I'm sure they're gonna have a lot to say when the live is over. But the lines are open.
By the way, I saw some people in the chat saying that I'm white. I'm black. I'm like, I am so black. If I laid in my bed, I'd look like a hole in the sheet.
Wow.
Now I thought you was black too. You said that.
Come on.
Like, but like, oh my.
Okay, we got 3 new guests on here. Let's go. Vanity, Sadia. Okay, Vanity. Hello. Okay, you girls are not really about that. You girls just want to get a quick 5 seconds of fame. Vanity.
Is their mics on right? Are they coming on right?
I don't know. Vanity. Okay. Okay, let's let I got time in right now for a second. Go ahead, I got
Oh my
time.
God. And gaslighting.
Yeah, what's up? On. I do have another question. I already talked to the trans women about what was so wrong with being trans, even though I never really got a clarified answer. I wanted to ask the black women the same thing.
Okay.
Like, why when their sons come to them, or whatever, their future daughters come to them and say things like, I'm trans or I'm gay, even, it's so unacceptable. But they can come,
Mm.
like the guys can come and they can be murderers. They'll send them commissary.
Mm.
Rapists, they'll send them commissary. But do
Mm.
not let them come in there and be gay.
Okay.
That was my second question. Was it dramatic enough? I tried.
Yes.
Thank you. What's so wrong with that? You know what I mean? What's so wrong with when? Because I swear I've seen so many guys. They I love black men. They're great, but some of them are sucky individuals. And when they come to their moms, call them from jail, whatnot, that's not problematic like being gay is. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Brooke
Most gays will get
Valentine, are
put
you
out the house.
here? Brooke.
Huh?
That's one thing I've always had a problem with in the black community. It's easier for them to accept a pedophile uncle than a gay son. I
Girl,
never understood that.
yes.
I
It's
never got
Can
that.
anyone
insane to
hear
me.
me?
Yes, we can hear you, Brooke. Let's go. What?
Okay, Brooke.
Okay, go ahead. Thoughts and opinions, and I got time.
I think
Yeah,
you crashing the line. There's so many
I
people
Can
that want to get
anyone
in
hear
here.
me?
Yes,
completely agree.
girl.
Like it's
Okay.
ridiculous.
I would like to give my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a trans woman.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Me
Queen.
when Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you Queen B?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So it's very problematic for me.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
What happened? The girls need Verizon.
Oh,
Hello. Okay, see, she not ready. We have to let her go. Hello, Queen B.
yes. I
Say
am.
something.
I'm here.
Okay, you out. Brooke. Brooke, unmute yourself. Nicole. Okay, I'm about to end the live.
Okay, we understand. It was good.
All right, bye. I got time because you. Okay, bye. So let me get the girls out of
But
here because y'all are playing.
ladies, thanks so much for
Go
taking the
ahead,
time to
Thoughts.
I'm
speak with me.
here.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dot. Thanks, girls. It's fun.
It has been fun. Look, well, Philly don't like you. Let him come back
I
on
think
one more
that
time. Go ahead.
that you got
He just over there looking mad. Look.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say one thing. So you've been wilding out all night, Miss Thoughts and bots and robots, whatever. You've been doing a lot the whole night. Okay, so I'm just gonna say if you have a anonymous gossip blog or whatever, would you be saying half the stuff you would be saying if you weren't anonymous?
Can you repeat that? It chipped out. Say that again.
Would you be saying half the stuff you are saying tonight if you weren't? And if people could see your face and know who you are, would you be saying half the stuff you're saying tonight, knowing it has the repercussions, knowing it has the impression that it has? Would you be saying half the stuff you've been saying tonight if you weren't anonymous?
I do say the things that I've been saying, and I say them in my personal life as well. But the reason I don't put my face out there on YouTube is because for the exact same reason that you look at the chat and you have people telling me that I'm a bedwench and a coon and I'm a white supremacist when I just told you that I'm black. People can't seem to have
Maybe you are
conversations
a
about
coon if you're telling black women not to have kids, if you're talking about problems
what?
in the black community.
I just told black women not to have children.
Cut off,
I said
God.
I just told. Oh my God. Okay, this is part of the reason why we as a community are struggling the way that we are.
And see, the coon jumped out. The coon jumped out. So maybe you might need to listen to some of those people. And I agree. Some of them can be cruel and can be very harsh. But the core point of what they're saying is something that you might need to absorb. And
Hello.
Wait a minute. Let me say
Okay.
this.
So
Okay. Okay.
I'm a coon because so I just wanted to quickly just address that point. So
Yeah, that's a bit heavy.
as black women, whether you identify as a trans black woman or a cis black woman, can we all agree that when we walk into the world that the expectations of us are very, very low, that people don't have a very high opinion as poverty baby makers? They see us as women who are unworthy of respect or appreciation. When anything happens to us, our children get abducted, nobody really seems to care. Can we all agree women comes with a certain level of disrespect? So part of the way that we can control that disrespect is by controlling our image and controlling the way that we present ourselves to the world. I say black women, we should probably stop having children in poverty conditions. Black women, we should probably stop having children that we can't take care of. How is that me cooning? I'm going to need you to explain that to me, Philly. Seeing as to how you're very able to call it and use words you don't fully understand, can you please explain to me how I'm cooning?
Well, wait, let me say this for you. Go ahead, Philly. She did not say how and black women should stop having children. She said she was talking about the men. The men. She said the men having children by men that are not capable of taking care of the child, or men who are not going to be in their life. That's what she said. So I want us to be very clear. And somebody's saying hello. I want everybody to be able to talk. This has been very, very good. I'm exhausted. But we got to be able to hear each other so that we don't create emotions and feelings, because there's a lot of people wanting to get on. Everything is breaking up. Mark is breaking the internet right now. But
Okay, hold on. Who's on? Okay, so thoughts and opinions. You might need to hang up and bring your call back. Manrabesta Marunu Nura. I don't know how the fuck you say that first name, but go ahead. We can hear you. Hello. Hey, yes. How are you?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to say I respect everyone being trans and things like that. I just would like to say that oppression does start with biology. I did make this comment before on your YouTube, but I just want to say that when China had their one-child policy, baby girl children were thrown away and left in bins and things like that because they had vaginas. No one waited for them to grow up and identify what they would want to be later on. They were left discarded and thrown away, left to die because of their biology. It wasn't about gender identity. And I just would like to know, what makes you a woman outside of patriarchal gender stereotypes of what a woman is?
Yeah, that's
We're here.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, what makes you a woman aside from patriarchal gender?
What makes you a woman outside of patriarchal gender stereotypes of what a woman is? Because the dictionary definition of what a woman is an adult human female.
And you're a cisgender female, or you're a biological female, Miss Besta?
Yeah, she's biological.
So if we're using... Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I can't speak to that, and I don't want to make any attempt to.
Go ahead, Nicole. You're the only transgender female on here right now.
Well, I don't think that we are. I don't consider any of the stigma or all the things that what she just stated. I don't consider us being exempt from it. I don't consider us being exempt from all the things that any biological woman, whether it was white, black, I don't think that we have been. In fact, we go through that and more. So where is she trying? Where is she really asking? Because I want to be able to understand it.
She asking, where were you at when the Chinese were throwing their kids away, because they have vaginas?
I was in America raising my own child.
So what she's trying to say is it just she's trying to say that you may identify as a woman, but in the sense of in all actuality how are you a woman? This is
How
what
are
she's
you a
saying.
woman?
How
Right.
are you a
You're
woman?
not
All
a
right. So
woman.
here, okay.
She's challenging that, and I don't have the right to speak to that.
Okay.
Okay, so
And here,
here's
that's the part of the ignorance.
Either party, either
What,
portion.
how, what defines a woman is what you said. The dictionary says is a adult female, a female in a sense of what she has. Well, that definition is not as the same as it is today, as it was yesterday than it is today. Okay. Now, what my womanhood, and I don't think anybody womanhood had anything to do with how Chinese were killing off other babies and putting them in that. And for me, I have a child. I can relate to losing and not having, or seeing my child being hurt and not knowing what to do, or seeing my child and I can't protect her. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm more than sure that if not more, my feelings are just as high rated as a biological woman, because the same love and the same nurturing and the same feeling that you give to your child are the same that I give to my oldest who's in college and my three who's in the room right now.
Can I come back to something though? Because this is
Go
where I
ahead.
came back. So what I
Go
want to
ahead.
come back to is this the intent behind how she said that to you.
Okay. Go
I want
ahead.
to come
Go ahead. I'm
back to that.
listening.
So because we want to we want to come from a factual place, but we also have to take accountability. So what I came back to was thoughts and opinions, is I need you to give me a context at work where you work in an environment in a space where you have someone that is knowingly transgender, where it is appropriate to announce that women have vaginas. I need to understand what that looks like.
Okay, so what ends up happening is when
You
you
you are
work in an office,
you are and you have to understand, and hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, but you have to understand in the workplace as far as human resources is concerned, and discrimination is sometimes it's about people's comfortability level. And so again, the reason I'm saying that is like the last caller that commented, we have to be honest about sometimes when we say things what our intent is.
okay, so
So I need an example. I need an example to justify
thing
that.
that when you talk about intent, are you assuming from a malicious place? Going back,
No, no,
first of
no.
all, I
I'm
just want
not.
to
No,
answer
no,
what
no, 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 no.
the
That
girl
wasn't. No,
before
no,
was
no.
saying.
Hold on, because I don't want you to get sidetracked because that wasn't directed towards you. What I'm saying is I need you to give me an example because you're saying women are being dismissed and or reprimanded at work for making comments that are scientific comments, like speaking about biology, like, oh, women have vaginas. What was the situation that you're speaking to? What was the conversation? What was the moment like in that moment where it was escalated to someone losing their job or being reprimanded? Like what was the context? What was that around?
Hmm.
You
So
understand where I'm coming?
I,
Y'all know where I'm coming from. Babe, I got three jobs. I'm trying to understand.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. So okay, so I was involved personally in a situation where we were all working. No, the person wasn't fired, but what ended up happening was
Okay.
HR ended up issuing a mandate saying we are not to discuss gender. We are like it was very much telling women that if you have a conversation, because the conversation initially started out with a woman coming in and complaining about period cramps and how her cramps
Okay.
were kind of radiating to her back,
Okay.
and then another woman paused and how she was so glad that she didn't have. And then as there was a liberal woman there, she started talking about how not all women have periods, and then it just devolved from there. And then she ended up getting offended because she was talking to a bunch of grown women about experiences that they were actually having and telling them that you can't say that what's it called, that you can't say that all women have periods or all women have vaginas and have that conversation be the end of it. HR was saying not to discuss or identity politics at work when someone was simply talking about from having their period. So when I'm
And I
saying
and
that
I
there's
and I
where
and I, and
women
I
are being
go
shut
ahead.
down, I'm just explaining. When I'm saying that there's conversations that women are
I hear
having
you.
where they're being shut down, what I find so interesting about this is that even when I'm saying women are not able to just kind of speak their truth and say what they feel without it being met with that's unacceptable. That's inappropriate. You like people don't seem to be understanding that if a woman says, I'm having back pain because of my period, and then you get sent a mandate saying that that's inappropriate to talk
What?
about, that's a
What? But what was?
way of
What was?
censorship. That's a full she's
So
not allowed to.
how did that? How did it end up? So you said a liberal woman complained?
I'm sorry?
I'm just trying to put the pieces together. You're saying a liberal woman complained. There wasn't a transgender that complained about
I'm
this?
talking about I'm talking about the type of woman who's very postmodernist. So she's the type of she's very much a
Dot, you're gonna have to call back. You're
like,
breaking up significantly. She's gonna have to call back.
So
yeah.
Go ahead, Jess Kales. You will have to wait on you, Jerry, because she's calling.
I got
She
you.
gotta call back.
I got you.
I'm submitted. Oh, Nicole, I really, really love you. I think the last caller, when she just hit you with the patriarchal and the what happened in China, the question she asked in a non-extra words, she
In
said,
the lead up.
minus the patriarchal wouldn't define you as a woman, because as a woman in America in a patriarchal society is, oh, a woman is, mom, XYZ. If you take all of that out, what makes you a woman? And I love all trans women. Whatever you want to be, I'm okay with that. But if you take out the patriarchal, a woman is a mom, gives birth, XYZ. If you take out those things, what makes you a woman? That's what she was asking. I don't think she was trying to be rude, but if you take out the definition of what America or the world sees as a woman, what makes you a woman? If you take off the makeup, the body, what makes you a woman? I gotta make my baby some food. I can still listen on TV.
Okay, so basically, these women want to know what makes you a woman as you transgender females. What makes you a real woman?
My thoughts and my feelings. My thoughts and my feelings. You have it because because the only thing that they have a defense and the only thing that they can hold them on is when they go to the physical part. That's the only thing. And if we're going to keep talking about semantics and biologically, then we're never going to be able to have a conversation. Because my thoughts and my feelings, what makes me a woman is that I've been thinking like one since the day I was born. What makes me a woman is my behavior, how I think, how I move, how I express my feelings, what my feelings are expressed about. And that you don't have to have a child to be a woman. You don't have to have a vagina to be a woman. You don't have to. Now, if you're talking about a female and we're talking about semantics and we're talking about biologically, then you have room for a conversation because that's what you're talking about.
Somebody just said the physical. Somebody said the physical is all that matters. That makes you a woman. You have to have a vagina and be able to reproduce.
Okay, so I can show a vagina. Then what happens?
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
But
can I just answer the woman's question about what makes a biological woman? So
Go ahead.
Okay, so first and foremost, the conversation about what makes a biological woman is, let's start with medically. So we all know that. Vagina, ovaries, all of that. And then there's the next thing of, well, what about women who are born with both? Okay, so they're hermaphrodites. So what would happen is the doctor would assign them a sex at birth. So that would be an assigned sex. And then what about women who don't have periods? Okay, they're still biologically women because at the same time, they have all the other features and characteristics of women. But my bigger issue with that, with not with the question, but with the idea of what makes a biological woman, is the people who are asking what makes a biological woman aren't actually biological women. It's biological men who are living a female experience, and they're using that to drive the question. So it's a form of patriarchy. Men trying to redefine what makes a woman a woman.
Wait, so say that again. Wait. Reset. So what does that mean? So what who are these biological women living this female experience?
So that would be, so I would use that to define a trans woman. So
you're saying transgender women are defining the female experience, but that was the real cisgender woman who asked that question. That wasn't a transgender
I understand that.
woman.
I understand that, but the conversation is initially being driven by trans women.
Okay.
So I understand what she's saying. She's well in her right to ask questions, and biological women.
But see, in that statement that you made right there goes back to Jerry's point with intent, because you said biological men that are living a female experience. It's like it's the wording.
Yeah, it's diminishing.
Now, can I
It's diminishing.
Can I say something? It's offensive because the whole time, I'm sorry, the whole time you seem like you were very supportive over trans women, and what you just did was what other people in heteronormative society does when they say that we are men posing as women trying to tell a narrative. That was so rude and so hurtful on so many levels. The whole time, don't cut me off, because see, I've been respectful, but that right there triggered me on so many levels, because I cannot now nor ever tell you anything biologically about yourself. But what I can tell you is how to live like a woman, because that's what I've been doing all my life. Okay, so don't tell me because someone has a vagina that makes them a woman, or because someone can have babies that makes them a woman, because you have biological females who can't have kids. So does that make, I'm not finished, does that make them any less of a woman? Don't sit here and at one point tell us, do not cut me off. Do not sit here at one point say you support us and then turn around and say that we're men having a woman experience trying to control your narrative. How dare you? How dare you?
At the end of the day,
no, how dare you? Don't tap it to me. Don't tap it to me.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this.
Don't do that.
At the end of the day.
Don't do that.
At the end of the day.
Don't do that.
No matter
at the end of the day, what?
Okay, so don't cut me off. Okay, so at the end of the day, no matter how you feel, no matter what, at one point you started out as a biological male. You presented as a male, you were
not a man though,
male, and
be
you transitioned into a woman. That's where trans came from. So why do you, and this is part of the reason why biological women have an issue. This is part of the reason why biological women get labeled TERFs. So trans exclusionary radical feminists, by simply stating biological reality and saying, you, as someone who is not born female, do not get to define womanhood for women who are actually born female. You don't get to do that.
That is not, but see, here we are. But no, and I never did say that. I never did try to tell you as a biological. No, what you're not going to do is
I don't think anybody has.
Wait a minute, Nicole. Wait a minute, Nicole.
No, nobody's trying to redefine that.
No one has said that, and no one is coming against us.
Identify as a woman, you're a woman. That is not. You're not.
So let me tell you something. Hold on. Wait a minute. A doctor assigns you a label at birth because you were born with ovaries and a vagina. All right. So if someone is born hermaphrodite, it is a doctor's decision to remove that. No, that is wrong, because at the end of the day, someone who is genetically born female does not make them a woman. You could be a bitch, you could be a thought, you could be many things that you want to be with the vagina. A woman is a way of life, and I grew up around a lot of women in my family. So for you to sit here and tell me that because I was born male, somehow I'm not a woman, how dare you? And how dare you attack us? How dare you attack us after you say you support us?
You're not a biological woman.
Listen, I'm not trying to be rude, but you're so stuck on a dick and a pussy that maybe you need to go out and get you some. Because we're not talking about sex. We're talking about women.
It's irrelevant.
We're talking about women and men, and you're talking about some biological shit, trying to gaslight us like you in favor of us.
No.
But you're using terminology and your language to try to support us. It's people like you that make it tough for us. And I sat here and I was quiet. Now I'm gonna light your ass up because you tried it.
I really wish you tried.
Somebody on this live, a man trying to tell your story, because if you're a woman, I don't ever want to fucking be that with the words that's coming out your mouth, because what you're doing is you're trying to use your superior intellect to try to overpower somebody which you're addicted to. But guess what, mama? I'm definitely on to you, and I'm gonna be quiet for the rest of this. But the next time you come out your mouth and disrespect my sisters, I'm gonna let your ass have it.
Oh yeah, you got threats.
Biological female.
That's very ladylike.
Okay.
In the corner. She's the one with the guy. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's her name?
Go ahead. T Jersey 27.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, T Jersey 27. You finna go.
I think her phone. Can you
Okay,
hear? We can't
she
hear
out of
you.
here. She gotta
Okay.
go. She not ready. Okay.
Okay, so let me say this.
Go
You
ahead.
know
I
what
got
saddens
time, boy.
me?
I got time. Wanted to come on, and we're gonna let Philly back on one.
Okay, you know what saddens me is the fact that we can have a real educated conversation and a passionate conversation, but when everything is balanced and no one has no room to play on, that they run to the biological part of everything. They
Because
run
that's what we
to
used to
the
define everything. You
all
use
right, but no, but
biology
wait,
to define your
but a
transition.
vagina. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How can you can define your womanhood from you having a child? What about me being a mother, having and raising a child, and doing all the things that come along with womanhood, even raising a young biological girl? How could you take away from my experience and all that I have done and putting children
How
through
am I
school,
taking away from your
raising them up?
experience?
But you're not. Well, first of all, let's be clear to all of y'all on this phone. No one is doing that to Nicole because Nicole can give two fucks about what y'all think and how y'all feel. I know I have to live for me. I can have this conversation, but this conversation in my transition and what I am as a woman is about me. And it's not about you. So I don't owe anyone an explanation. But being that we're having the conversation, I want to ask to every female in the chat and everyone out there. So
We
if
have
a woman
over
can't have a
700
baby-
people in the chat right now.
all right. So if a woman cannot have a baby, does that make her lesser than a woman? And she has a vagina. Is she less than a woman because her vagina does not work?
So what you're doing is that you're trying to so what you're trying to do is you're
I'm
trying to
doing
convert
what
the
y'all
argument.
was doing.
What
I'm doing what
saying
y'all
is
just finished doing. Y'all brought up the biological part. Y'all brought up the semantic
it's so
part of the
interesting that when you
situation.
bring up reality, it gets to the point where people get really upset. If I'm telling you that femalehood and womanhood is defined by your body parts. So what? Okay, so question for you.
Female womanhood is not defined by body parts, ma'am. Female,
Okay, so you know what?
biological
So here's my
female.
question for you. So if you feel that you should be able to define yourself using the exact same metrics as me, if I don't consent to that as a biological female, as the person which you used as the baseline for your transition, you had to have looked at how biological and female presenting women behaved in the world to determine what a woman was, right? You didn't just make it up out of your head.
Right.
Then
Somebody got
why do I
feedback.
not have an opinion on how far you get to redefine being a woman or womanhood? So the same thing is let me just I'm trying to find a way to do this in a way that's not so emotional, because like my brain is starting to kind of like I'm just kind of like, what the hell's going on here? This always happens when you start to talk to trans people about facts and opinions and facts that you're actually using to base your transition on. You didn't just go to the doctor and say, I want to be woman, and they didn't start at a baseline. The baseline that they used was biological women. The whole idea of long hair, long lashes, you used female presenting womanhood to define what a woman was. So why do you feel that you get to redefine womanhood when you are not originally and biologically a woman? Why do you feel what womanhood is when you are new to the game and I've been doing this my whole life?
Where did we, ma'am? Where did we redefine what womanhood was? At what
When
point
you start
in time?
saying things like trans women are women, when you start saying I don't like, keep in mind, you also have to keep in mind, not you specifically, but you come from a community where if you try to tell trans women that you are a trans woman, I've met trans women who said, I'm not a trans woman, I'm a woman just like you. There is no difference. Have you not seen people say there's no biological difference between men and women? So you have a community that is just as disjointed as this conversation. You guys can't even agree on what trans women actually are, but you're trying to redefine it. So when I say that if you're a trans woman, you shouldn't be in biological.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. You wait. Hold on. That's a heavy piece right there. Hold on. That's a heavy piece. Let me mute you. She said you guys can't even explain what trans women are, but you're trying to redefine it. That's heavy right there. You can't even define what makes you a woman, but you
Can I
can.
just take a stab at it?
Hold on, let just Kales answer, and then we'll let you in. We got Miss Unbreakable. Okay, so Miss Kales, just Kales, Miss Unbreakable, Tabitha. Then we'll go to okay, go ahead.
Okay, Nicole. For many years, if a woman could not, or female could not have children in our community and world at large, she was not a woman. She was she was not even worth. You married to a man, you could not bear him children. You weren't worth being his wife anymore. A man could just cast you aside. You weren't a good woman. So we can use that as, if you can have kids, you're a woman, yes or no. Because at one point, if you were a barren woman, you were basically good as trash. And that's during the times of, we're not going to today, during the time that a woman was nothing more than property. A man who had almost nothing, he could marry a woman who comes from a family of everything and become something. Why? Because one, the woman, and with that woman came with her being able to bear him children that could continue his wealth. So yes, at one point in time, women having a baby, that's all a woman was. So for trans women to say, "Oh, I'm still a woman because I can look like you, I can look like you, I can present like you, I can have the same feelings as you, I'm the same as you." No, because at one point in time, a woman, me, because up until I was 32, I didn't think I could have children. 3 rounds of IVF and no baby stuck. So my ex-husband was like, "Oh no." And then then I was able to have a baby naturally, but as in 2014, I wasn't a good enough woman for my husband because he didn't think I could have a baby. But clearly, H titties, 26-inch waist, and a fat ass, I'm a full woman. But so it's not, we can't say, "Oh, because women can have babies, yes or no." Because at one point in time,
well, I got a fat ass too. Does that make me a woman?
No, but if we're going by because a woman can have babies, that is a thing that
really,
actually,
you got a fat ass. Let's see if Jerry got a fat ass.
I think that was a definer. I can respect your response, and let me just say, I never ever, because for me, and I've said this a whole lot of times,
and I love you, mommy. I love you. Facebook, everything. I love you. Me and you talk a lot back in the woman to woman days on the radio, Blog Talk Radio. I live for you. I live for the girls. Everything y'all go through, but it's just like, wow. Because the cisgender thing, I don't care what you call me, long as you make sure my check on time. You don't play with my hair. You don't play with my baby.
Okay, Kelly, you playing. Okay, bye. You getting your ass off here. Go ahead, Kelly. Let me hear. Miss Unbreakable, what you got? Miss Unbreakable, let's go. Miss Unbreakable. You finna get out of here. You out. Let's see. Mistress of the Whispers. That sounds like some. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to come in this conversation because I am intersex. And so
what does that mean?
That's hermaphrodite.
Oh, you're a hermaphrodite. So you have a penis and a vagina.
Yes, I like that.
Let's not go straight to that, but I'm hermaphrodite.
Okay.
So,
okay, come on now. We going somewhere.
Okay, this is what I want to say. The problem with this conversation is it's always about physical, right?
Right.
We make this conversation about the physical, but this conversation is actually scary because the feminine is supposed to understand. There's a reason why these things are happening. It's a reason why you come into this existence this certain way. And because religious structures and all of these different systems have not shown this, women are supposed to be in tune with the cycles, not just one, not just their own, but they're supposed to be in tune with the cycles of nature. It's a bigger problem. It's a bigger issue. I hear certain people say this is not about emotions. I'm listening to a woman be speaking from a physical perspective and not a emotional one. So you're missing something. So there's something that's being missed there, and it's really gonna be more helpful in this conversation if you speak about it from a spiritual perspective as well as physical. Okay, because even when you talk about how you can't use emotions with this certain type of thing, what else makes you a woman? If because for me personally, I carry both sets of chromosomes. So if we want to speak about the scientific aspect of it, I can stand in the middle and speak for either or and use it that way. And I'm not being smart here either. No, because I want for this to no, there needs to be growth really. Because when we speak about
Break
white
aware. Who to
supremacy,
break? Break
this is
aware.
a part of it. This
Break
has been taught to us from a physical perspective,
aware.
and we have missed and we have lost the spiritual perspective.
I'm
People
so
are going
sorry.
to
Is
be very.
everybody hearing static?
Wait,
I do.
I'm not
Jerry, mute
sure.
your
It is my
background.
fault.
Mute your background
Can
because
you
you're on
hear
the
me?
phone.
I'm
Everybody
sorry.
mute their
I'm sorry,
background.
Mistress of Whispers. I'm having a really hard time hearing you. The static's really bad.
Okay, they muted their background. You can go ahead, mister.
Is that better?
Yeah, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's
So
better.
okay, awesome. So really with this, the Bible speaks about eunuchs. The Bible speaks about all of these different concepts, and people are really missing something. So what I want to ask other women is to ask yourself when you're thinking about this conversation, ask yourself, why am I giving birth to these kinds of beings? Because it's coming through you. It has to come through. It has to come through the womb. There's a spiritual reason why. You're not going to get your answers saying, I feel threatened because of this and that, or whatever the case may be. You're not going to get the answers that way. I'm just stepping in because I wasn't going to even get in this conversation.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's go. Let's respond. Somebody's phone is fucked up.
Yeah.
That's Philly phone. That's Philly phone. It's always Philly phone. That fucking shit you got in the background. I don't know what kind of shit you got going. Turn that shit down. Okay, go ahead. And this is Mistress of the Whispers. That motherfucker's definitely whispering. Go ahead, thoughts and opinions. Cassie, is this you? What you got?
Hi, I just wanted to know, how do the trans women feel about fighting real women?
Okay.
And also, how come when they argue with real women, they turn into men? Not trying to be disrespectful, but
Okay.
it's like the whole mood changes. It's like, I thought you were a woman.
Okay.
Okay. All right. One, I don't condone that. I don't think that women should be fighting each other, period. So I truly don't condone people who identify as trans women that's fighting women. I just don't condone it. About the other question about turning into men, I think that's very unfair. I think a lot of time what happens is sometimes people get emotional, they're compassionate, and they get loud and aggressive. And the only reason why that statement is being made is because of our identification. So us getting frantic and upset and compassionate is us being a man because that's what we were born as, and that's what you choose to see us as. And so that's when that comes up. Because my frustration
Also,
and compassion is just like a woman in the sense that I raise my voice. I get upset. I use my hands. I do all the things that women do. But because as we keep going into the logistic biological part of, I don't have, well, y'all don't know what I have, but because a trans woman wouldn't have a vagina, that means that she's reacting like a man. To me, that's an ignorant statement. And it's also a secret jab at somebody when they're expressing themselves and they get excited.
Okay.
thank
Go
you.
ahead,
So can I
Tabitha.
say something?
Ladies, would
I
it
mean,
help if we
I
all
agree.
put our things on mute
Can I?
when someone's speaking? Because the static is really intense.
Yes.
Okay, so
No. Okay. Thoughts and opinions. You're gonna have to come back because your phone is doing that breakup thing. Go ahead, Tabitha?
So to answer the question, when you say that should trans women and female biological females fight each other, I agree with Nicole. I don't think any woman should be fighting each other, period, whether you're trans or not. But for me to get aggressive and get upset, I come from a bunch of tomboys in my family, and that's just another language that society has strung out there to see that women who present masculine are somehow tomboyish. So if I got too aggressive earlier, it was because I was attacked on this live by someone who used terminologies and language because they have a certain level of education to try to play wordplay, and I don't do that. So I got aggressive and I yelled and I apologized to everyone who was on the live because that's not normally me, but I'm very passionate about the life that I live, and I don't like anyone being attacked because of how I lived. Just like I would defend some of the things that she said, she had no right saying that, because my understanding of what this woman had said was that because we were born male, it is a patriarchal system and male privilege for us to try to assume a woman's life and tell them how to live. Not one time have I ever told another woman how she should live, and neither do I emulate myself like a woman. I emulate after the woman that I grew up around. And those are the biological females that raised me. So for me, a trans woman is a woman of trans experience. I was always a woman. I was never a male. I was never a man. I was born male, but I was never a man. I never lived my life as a man. I don't even know what the hell that is. I raised children that are not my own. So when you come at me and you attack me or any other woman of trans experience by saying that we're trying to appropriate a narrative that's not ours, that is so false. It's so problematic, and it continues to trigger us in our spaces because he brought us on here, trans women, to speak to you, and yet you attack us biologically, should I say. And I'm not trying to do that with you, thoughts and opinions, because that's not who I am. So if I came aggressive, I apologize, but you really need to use your words carefully and
But
be
she didn't
sensitive
say
to
that. Kathy said it. Kathy asked that. Kathy asked that.
No, but thoughts and opinions literally said men.
Yes, she did.
Dress like women. So that's what I'm speaking to. She did say that. Cassie did not say that. No one else came on this live and
Right,
said
but
that.
if but okay, so Tabitha, I this is the thing though. This conversation is so frustrating because it's if I'm not saying the words that make everyone feel comfortable, if I'm not policing my words and I'm just
That's an
speaking
attack.
freely, it's so offensive to everyone. Why can't we just acknowledge that you started somewhere and now you're somewhere else?
So basically, Thoughts and Opinion is saying that you started off as male and now you're female. But I think the issue that Tabitha is having, and I caught it too, because you said it are these once identifying men, then these men, and then they go and now they're identifying as female. I feel like we could have skipped all of that.
Right, but here's the thing though. What I'm saying is that prior to the resurgence of the transgender discussion, were women really confused about what the role of womanhood was and what woman was and what a biological woman is? Did we have these problems? We didn't. Of course, there were feminists who were questioning the roles that women played in society, absolutely. But we didn't have these issues of, well, what defines a woman? Is womanhood by emotion? Is it by? It sounds to me.
So let me ask you this. So let's wrap this here. Do you think are transgender, in your opinion, do you think that transgender people, meaning female, male to female, would you consider them women?
I will call you a woman.
That's not what I asked you. Do you consider them women?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so that's what it is. You don't think that transgender females are women?
If it's something that you can transition out of, no, you're not a woman.
Then to have a good conversation and an accurate conversation is out the window already, because you have already put in your head, you have became the same other people, just like the people that ostracize us and the same people who discriminate against us.
How do I ostracize you and discriminate against you? I actually told you I'm for you. I just don't see the world the way you do.
No, and I get that. And let me say this. I don't have a problem with how you feel, because I don't let those things bother me. But I do want to say that how could we really have a healthy conversation when I say I am a woman, and everything that I have experienced has told me that, and everything that I have gone through has emulated that to me. And you feel because I don't have the biological part that I'm not. So the conversation is kind of like, you get it? Like, how can we really conversate with you two? Okay, oh, so you're not going to get anything that I say pertaining
It's
to
not that I
me
don't
and
get
the
what you
woman.
say.
But you won't, because anything pertaining to me and the woman, you don't believe that
Listen,
we are.
no. But here's what I think you're missing. I don't believe that you're a biological woman. No. But do I believe that you can have female experiences? Yes. I think you know what it's like to deal with ain't shit niggas, and I think you know what it's like to deal with oppression in the workplace. I think you know what it's like to have to deal with people skipping you over for opportunities. When you're a Black woman, you speak up, and people tell you that you need to calm down, or that you're too boisterous, or that you're too aggressive, or you're too this and that. You're supposed to just walk through the world and just take whatever comes with it, because the world sees Black women as mules. I think we
Well,
can
I
have
don't think
similar
that they think that they know that they're not biological women, but they are transgender women. And I
Right.
think that's the piece though. So but they are a type of woman. They're
So you're a
transgender
okay,
women.
so let me rephrase that then. You're right. You are a type of woman, but at the same time, do I feel that it's fair that in your understanding of womanhood, do you get to redefine womanhood for me? No, you don't get to call me a cis woman. You don't get to tell me what sports you should be able to play in. You don't get to tell me what grants I should have. You don't get to tell me that when I open up a battered woman's shelter, that if I don't let you in, that I'm being transphobic or I'm being a TERF.
Okay.
So you see what I mean? I'm allowed to say, you know what? I can recognize your experiences. I can recognize how you walk through the world. And I will make sure that if you were ever around me, my family, or my friends, I'm not going to tell them that you're trans.
Okay,
I'm
but
not
let me
going to
ask
put
you
you
this.
out there.
You have that right. But let me ask, just playing devil's advocate. What does it do for you to see another Black woman? But let's take cis and trans out of it. If they were being battered and if they needed to go into those facilities, why does the fact that they are not a biological woman, but in fact they are a type of woman and they identify with woman, what does it do for you to not let them in?
It's not me, because I
Not
personally
you.
don't
I
have
know not you, but I'm
right.
just saying, we're
But
not
you have
talking
to
me and you.
understand that the majority of women who are in battered shelters that I used to volunteer for, they're there because of violence that they experience at the hands of men. So if you are a trans woman and you are not female presenting, if people, like for example, Nicole, Tabitha, you're both beautiful. No one is going to know that you are trans. So it's easier for you to have access to those spaces, and no one's going to question it. But if you are not female presenting, it's incredibly triggering for women who have dealt with abuse at the hands of men.
I don't
So
think
I'm
that's
not
fair though,
saying
because I feel like
That's
there's a lot
fair.
of trans women that go through a lot, and I'm just saying that they
right,
go
but
through
they should
stuff. They
have their
take these.
own spaces.
They should, but a lot of times that they don't though, because of these thought processes. So they get kind of left through, you know what I mean, and they just get left out. But a lot of these trans women, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you accept it or not, it's not up to you. But they go through things when they take these hormones. Their body breaks down. They're not all as strong as a man that they were born as. They become feminine beings as well. So everybody says they're men, but their body is not all built up to be this masculine men full of testosterone, and people don't want to acknowledge that. They just want to say you were born a man, you're still a man, and that's not fair either. I don't think that that's fair.
Okay, that's
And,
fair.
and as black people, what does it do for you if you have a woman shelter and you got 100 women hungry and you're feeding 100 women and one woman comes, but they're a trans woman? What does it hurt you to say, you know what? I'm going to let you in, my sister, to eat. Oh, well, you're not a real woman. But if you're Black, you're still, what does it do for you?
Right.
Why
But
does that bother you so much?
It's not that it bothers me, Armand. What we're missing from this conversation is that we're so busy focusing on individual rights, we're not thinking about the collective. The march towards authoritarianism, meaning a state where power is centralized in one place, it's not leaps and bounds. It's one step at a time. Because remember, this conversation about trans women having access to a wide variety of spaces, having access to the same grants and having access to women's grants, opportunities, sports, safe spaces. It all began when someone said, I just want to use the bathroom. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It started somewhere very
Mm-hmm.
small. And now there's literally laws that say that if you misgender someone or if you call someone a gender that they do not agree with, and keep in mind, we're not talking about two genders. We're not talking about trans men and trans women. We're talking about people who are non-binary, moon trans, people who there are literally people who identify with the moon. And if
Okay.
you misgender those people, because keep in mind, one other thing, Nicole and Tabitha, you also should be concerned about the views that people have about trans women. And it's not that not everybody's coming at you from a hostile place. I genuinely don't hate you. I don't. It's the fact that if you take a look at the laws and legislation that's being written that's supposed to quote unquote protect you, they're used to take away rights in other ways. So, for example, we know we are slowly, or you guys are in the United States, you're slowly losing your ability for free speech. Laws that were protecting people that gave people freedom of the press and free speech to say what you want, you're losing that under the geyser of compassion and under the geyser of being kind to other people. In Canada, they don't have free speech laws anymore either. There's literally laws that have been written that say that somebody, if you misgender someone, that you could be filed. We can't just speak freely anymore. And what they're doing is, and they're doing the same thing with the LGBT community, they're using you guys as a geyser to push nefarious things. So for example, do you wonder why it is when as a gay man, you get associated with pedophilia? It's part of an overall objective that is incredibly harmful to you. So you'll see things like drag queen children. And then what
No.
they'll do is they'll talk
That's
about
not just.
exception.
That's just not the no. That's part of. That's just a lot of straight women, straight men, and they feel that way. That's not
That's the thing,
the
though. But here's the thing,
TV.
though. It's homophobia. It's absolutely
It's
homophobia. But
absolutely.
it's absolutely homophobia. But
Can
when
everyone hear me?
when people aren't able to draw lines and say, no, this is not okay without being labeled as transphobic, little things like that start to get pushed through. And then before you know it, there's seething resentment towards a group of people that are just trying to live their lives. I understand where you guys are coming from, but you have to see that by you choosing to redefine language for other people, you start to close the conversation, and you start to
Okay,
close
but
off
even
people
okay,
to
so
relate to you.
okay, so with that being said, okay, let's just say that is the route we'll go, and we're not going to redefine language for other people, right? So you don't, not you, but cisgendered people, straight people, they don't get to redefine language terminology that we use. Like this is not the world doesn't work with straight is law, gay is secondary citizenship. So if we want to use certain terminologies and certain words, we have the right to use that. And I don't give a damn what any book or any number or anybody says. No one's going to tell me that because it said because a heterosexual wrote this in the book that it's law. So if I want to use, I'm just saying words like fish and different terminologies, I'm going to use them. No one gets to tell me how that I can't use that type of terminology, as I can't tell you that you can't use a certain type of terminology. It's how I feel. You know what I mean?
I agree. The same way that I'm not going to tell a trans woman that she can't use the word, trans woman, that's fine. But the thing that separates trans people from gay people is you do not need my consent or you do not need my assistance to identify as a gay man. You claim a gay man, you are a gay man, and I can't say anything about it. The thing with trans women is that in order for them to be identified or considered trans women, everybody else has to participate. Everybody else has to use she, her, Zer, Zim, whatever trans label you feel like using. Everybody else has to participate in it. And then when people go, no, I don't really agree with that, you're transphobic. I just don't agree with you.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. Let's get Shay in here, and then we're gonna wrap up. Okay, Shay, come on, let's go.
Hi guys. I
Hi.
want to say that I'm a cisgendered Black woman.
Okay.
I have no problem with trans or gay or anything like that. And I have these conversations all the time with my sisters, and it gets very heated because not only do a lot of Black women have a problem with the biological, it sometimes comes off as mental. A lot of Black people think that transgenders just have a mental issue. No one ever talks about that. It always comes off as, oh, there's a hormone and chemical imbalance. I don't feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man. And that's a big problem to some Black women because just like, what's her name? Thoughts and Opinions.
Yeah.
Yes, she said that, you know, you guys always invite us into your spaces. It's like being invaded, and Black women haven't gotten a retribution. We haven't gotten a finish line for us trying to fight for being Black. So then transgenders coming into our spaces or making us part of their spaces is an issue. And I think that's a big issue that Black women have supporting trans.
Okay.
Yeah, Tabitha wanted to say something. Thank you for saying that. Ahmad, I'm gonna kill you when we get off this phone because you turned it. This is that is going today.
Go ahead.
Tabitha wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm confused. Like, I'm not really even confused. It's just that I'm a little bit like, you asked Thoughts and Opinions a legit question, but does she see us as women? And her answer was no. And in the very same breath, she said that we are. So then she says that she supports us. My fear, my concern is that she says that she works with this community. Having those views and having those like ideologies or beliefs, like I fear those organizations that you work for caring for this community when you actually feel that way, because in all reality, you came on this live with that feeling and with that, your mind was already made up that you don't see us as that. So you actually came on to discredit and prove a thing that you say that you support. And that's what a lot of people do. They say they support us, and then in all actuality, they don't. But they go into our spaces when we want to talk about spaces, and you take a job that's designed for a trans woman, giving care to trans women, and you want to use the allyship as a way to get in, but you really don't see it for us. So why are you even working in our spaces?
So here's
and
the
then
sorry.
I'm not finished.
Go
Please
ahead.
stop cutting me.
Go ahead.
You know, and I'm only calling out what you said. You said that we are not women. That's what you said. You said, unfortunately, no, I don't see that. So then why are you in our spaces assuming a role in the grant that's designed for trans women or TGNC NB identified folk working in our spaces, presenting like you want to give to us and help us, but if we came to an all-female shelter, you wouldn't want to feed us or let us in, but you want to come in our space, work there, get the money that the grants offer our narratives, saying that you support us, and then you sit here and you don't see us. So why? And it's not a mental health issue. It's not a Black disease that we are mentally ill because we feel this way. Like, all those narratives are so harmful. You didn't say that, the other lady did.
The other one lady said that, and I wanted to say this.
But I have
I wanted to say this to that. Hold on, up in. I wanted to say this when she said hormones and stuff did not create my womanhood. They help embark and help me in the physical part, but from a very young age, that's all I was able to think about. And I think it's rude for people to say or to think that that's a mental issue or we got some type of thing. And it's really disheartening to hear and to look at the chat, Amon, and to know that you go through so many women who actually have a problem with Black trans women or Black gay men and have a problem with thinking that their spaces is being invaded, and they have this whole negative perspective and thoughts about who we are. And so I think this conversation will never ever go anywhere. And Black women and trans Black women, they will always have this kind of friction because no one wants to allow people to live in their truth and love in their truth. They don't want to accept them people like, I accept your truth because that's what it is and that's your truth. No, oh, that's your truth, so I accept it. But
well,
I really
but
don't
now
believe
you see like, and it's not just trans, and I love all my people, and I'm not even talking about Thoughts and Opinion. I'm talking about as a collective on my channel here. Now you see what I go through on this side of the yard when it's just me, you know what I mean, battling, because I go off weekly when there's a gay topic. It's like I don't get to talk about it, but I can sit and talk about Black women issues all fucking week long. The minute I say a woman cannot expose these men, all of a sudden I should be kissing Black women's ass. And I'm canceled when I don't do that. Now you guys see what I go through when it's none of the girls over here having my back. Everybody's busy saying I hate trans over there on Facebook, but I deal with this every day. Every day as a gay black man.
Armand, I just want to say,
to
Armand,
hear
like I
women, black women treat us like that. To hear black women, I praise black women. I think they are the queens. I think they're the reason for a lot of the existence. And to think that they have their mind. I'm looking at the chat. That's a man. This a man. To think that we still in 2020, Tabitha, we are still really in a huge fight against our safety. We are really in a huge fight about how to be around people and to be comfortable or to let our guards down. Because truth be told, I have no feelings about what a black woman is. And I admire and appreciate and respect her. And it has nothing to do with well, I want to be like her, and because I've learned to focus on my own individuality and how my womanhood is expressed. But it's really disheartening after all these hours of being on here and to see that we can talk and the conversation goes somewhere and it goes back to the same point all the time. Well, if you ain't got a pussy, you a man.
Right. Okay. Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk to the queen to go, and then I'm gonna address somebody, and I'm gonna block her stupid ass. Cause somebody gonna say, Armand, just tell them you don't like them. No, what I told you, and I'm gonna tell you, stupid bitches, for the ones who need to get it. Like I've been saying every time, I'm a black gay man. I'm black first, gay second. I'm a fucking man. There's gonna be days I'm gonna listen to black women issues, but there's days that I'm gonna vent about black gay issues. If you motherfuckers don't like it, you can get the fuck off my channel. Period. This is not an all black women kiss ass YouTube channel. If you looking for that, there's plenty of those channels there. You don't like it, unmotherfucking subscribe, bitch. Period. Get the fuck.
Yep.
Armand,
I
can you
agree.
hear me?
Yes.
I agree. So what I'm saying is okay. So I just want to address Tabitha first. When you say how can you be around people and you have these hateful views, my views are not hateful. If I'm not, I don't hate you. I'm simply saying, okay, so I don't believe that you believe that you're a biological woman or you're a woman. Okay, fine. I will address you as such. I will use your pronouns. I will make sure that if anybody ever tries to mess with you, that they're not going to do it. If anyone tries to mess with you in any kind of corporate sense, I'm going to protect your rights and your freedoms. I just don't see the science the way that you do. How is that hateful? You think that, and here's the other thing. I'm not going to be that person that if I absolutely have a problem with you, I'm going to go run around and try to out you to people. I'm not going to do that to you. So because I don't see you the way that you see you, I'm a hateful person. I'm not an ally. Meanwhile, I'm still volunteering at the same shelters. I'm still making I do so much to help out the LGBT community because I think what's happening to the community is really unfair. So because I don't agree and I'm not in lockstep with absolutely everything, I'm not an ally. You're not going to tell me how I think. You're not going to tell me what you get to define your truth and your reality, but you don't get to tell me what I should be thinking about how you move through the world. And you think I don't go to work and I don't have to work with other people who I disagree with, but when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of protecting another person's right and protecting that to be an ally to them, you don't get to define that. So that's one.
Somebody wanted to ask a question. Somebody was there. Somebody just said, can they ask you a question, opinion?
Can I ask a question to thoughts and opinions?
Go ahead.
As a trans woman, I want to know, I think it was you who said that trans women contribute or are part of patriarchy. So I would like to know why is that your opinion?
Okay, so that is my sorry.
Yeah, because to me, I feel like trans women are marginalized. We are outcasted from cisgender men, cisgender heterosexual men, cisgender women. So how do we contribute to patriarchy?
So patriarchy is a matter of power and control. So male power and control, right? We live in a patriarchal system. So whenever men say, that's what we tend to go by. This is one thing that I think one thing that you guys should all consider in this conversation is we've been on this conversation for about 3 hours, and for 3 hours I've been saying women have particular needs. We should have our own spaces. Trans women should have their own spaces, but at the same time, we should be able to respect one another. I don't speak for the people in the chat. The people in the chat don't speak for me because I'm seeing a lot of craziness and a lot of ignorance in the chat, unfortunately. But I'm saying you should be able to identify however you feel, but you shouldn't have the right. And because you identify a particular way, that doesn't mean that you get to push into spaces that are for me. And patriarchy goes, yeah, but, and does it anyway. But keep in mind, transgenderism has a form of patriarchy and male entitlement in it, because if you are telling biological women, I'm going to go into this space regardless of what you think. I'm going to take part in this experience even though you do not like it. And if you stand up against it, or if you say anything against it, I'm going to label you a TERF. I'm going to try to defund you. I'm going to try to force laws down your throat. How is that not a form of male privilege? You're using the kind of male privilege that was used to kind of drive this conversation forward. Because also keep in mind,
but I don't feel like trans women benefit from male privilege. Maybe someone like Caitlyn Jenner, who has used her male privilege and her white male privilege and then transition, but I don't feel like other trans women who have transitioned benefit from like male privilege.
Okay, so if I tell you, you cannot come into this space is for biological women only. If you make a big enough stink about it, not only will I potentially be fined, or I could be ostracized or quote unquote canceled online, but you'll get access.
But what makes you uncomfortable about trans women being in female spaces? What makes
because
you
you're not biologically female. And the fact that I can't even object to it, the fact that if I try to object to it, look, you're already getting upset. I can't state not you, but women, like trans women, actually get upset when you say, listen, this space is for biological female. Do you like you're thinking about, like, it's one thing if we're just
Can I just ask a question? I just want to ask
your
just
individual life.
Okay.
But if you're only thinking about this from this perspective of an individual, that's not fair to other people. You're just thinking about you. You're not thinking about how this impacts anybody else.
And you're absolutely right. But let me ask this question, just because I have to ask, because I'm me. But why do you have to have an opinion on whether they're biological or not? Why can't it just be womanhood together? Like, why does it matter? Like, why do you have to care if not you, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, and I know that you like to speak in facts, so I just want to know, like, maybe you can speak for the women, because you're the only one representing. You're doing your motherfucking thing tonight, and I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you calling in, first of all. But I just want to say, like, why do you think that? Why does it matter so much to women if you're biological versus you're trans? Why can't it just be like, we're women supporting women? Like, why does the anatomy matter? Like, why does it matter? Why do you care that much? Why can't it just be people helping people?
I agree. I understand that. The reason why it has such a big impact, and one of the reasons that I've identified, is men.
Period. Like I said earlier.
It has to do with men. I'm going to tell you straight up, it has to do with men, because what is happening is I'm watching, and from my own experience of dealing with, working with trans women, I was also working with cross-dressers as well. So they're different, obviously. And what was happening is sexual as a means of almost like sexual masturbation. So basically using trans women to kind of explore as a form of safe exploration of gay culture. As a fetish, thank you. And what was happening is, because trans women were using the language, I am a woman, period, not I'm a trans woman, it was giving these very same men an out. So they were able to say, I'm sleeping with a woman, so what's the problem? Meanwhile, they were engaging in some of the most crazy sexual experiences. And I'm not saying that all trans women are like this. I'm really not saying that. But they were using trans women as a fetish to kind of get out some of those gay experiences that they weren't comfortable with themselves to have. And the things that, like, one guy that I actually worked with, he ended up getting divorced because he was going to bathhouses and he was having wild orgies with trans women, and then he eventually graduated from trans women to gay men and ended up bringing an STD to his wife. So
Um,
it has to do with the way that people identify, because if you are using the same language as me, we're not the same.
but I don't
Why
think
can't you
trans
just have your
women
own
consider
language?
ourselves. We call ourselves trans women. That's our language.
No, not all of you. That's the other thing. You all don't agree on the
But
same language. You like, even if you want, did anybody watch the Breakfast Club interview? That was a complete shit show. Not a
Okay, but
single
I'm
one of them
sure
could
when
agree
it
on
comes to
language.
cis women, there are also a bunch of cis women who would not agree with you. So you cannot say that an entire community needs to agree on one word. It's an individual
Yes, they
choice.
do.
No,
Yes,
they
you do.
don't.
If you're trying
Because
to,
a lot of
yes, you
you're
do.
representing
If you're trying to get
cisgender
it into
women
laws, if you're
here.
trying to teach it to children, if you're trying to teach it to anybody else, if you're trying to get the larger society to agree with you and understand you, you need to have a clear definition and understanding of yourself.
Okay,
Well,
but
listen.
You
I
need to.
understand what thoughts and opinions is saying, and I kind of agree with her to that. But I feel like logically, she might be the only, like, one of a small percentage of women that are thinking about it logically in that standpoint. I think a lot of women are looking at it as like in regards to men, but it's more of an insecurity. Like, these trans women, they can take my man. They're not even thinking about everything else that you went into. I feel like there is this like battle with, could this, in their mind, could this man take my man from me? She's not
and,
like
and, and,
me.
that's it, and that's what we go through all the time. And so we can't love each other like black women. We can't support each other just like black women. Like Amar said, first we're black, and then we're trans, or if you're a woman, or if you're gay. So you got all these different things. We can't live and exist on that level, because there's a true thing that's going on. It is about the man and what happens and with the man and the relationship with a woman, and their divorce with their children. And someone who identifies as a woman, I can relate. I get it. I understand. And I totally get it. And it is not our fault in the sense that y'all are taking it. It's not our fault, because that same thing happens to us too. The same thing, the same buffoonery, the same mess, the same shit, the same cheating. While he's cheating on you with us, he's keeping us a secret and acknowledging you. And so
You
these
don't
feelings,
deserve that.
and so these feelings come from a real deep place. I'm a person, like I said again, I will say, I love black women. I work with black women. I think that they're amazing, and I don't have any thoughts about their man, and if they I don't have that, because I'm comfortable with who I am. However, it is, and I'm not saying this funny, but there is a lot of women who are very insecure, and they don't have any reason other than the fact that we don't have a vagina between our legs to discredit us, or to comfort us, or to treat us, or say the things that they say about us. It really, there's no other reason other than that.
Right. So when I was saying that it has to do with men, that was just one example. The other example is that trans women are actually, I hate saying this, but trans women end up being used as a pawn for cis, I'll say cis men, to kind of push through ideas or have access to spaces that are traditionally for women in more darker and more nefarious elements. So that's where you see things like men, biological men, pretending to be trans and going into female spaces and assaulting women. So a lot of it has it. So a lot of the issue with trans women has nothing to do with you. It has to do with more men, but that's part of the reason why you would have a lot more women on board with transgenderism if you would just use consistent and concise language that makes it clear to distinguish you from your fellow cis woman.
But that's never going to happen,
be
because
fair.
I feel like women want transgender people to walk around like Flame Monroe and say, I'm a chick with a dick with titties. And no person's going to spend all that money, first of all. No person's going to go through all that, those hormones and all that, to sit here to look like a female just to come and appease you, not you, but you, right, a female or a straight community, and say, yes, I look like a female, but yeah, I'm a man. Who the fuck are you? I don't have to fucking tell you I'm no fucking man, bitch. You know what I mean? I would be offended.
I don't expect you, like, and keep in
I
mind,
don't have to appease you.
I understand that, because I don't expect you to walk around like an apology, like some sort of person who's embarrassed of who you are, and you think that by kind of diminishing yourself in front of me that we're going to be able to be cool. That's not respect. I'm just saying, have your own language. Have language that, like, even if you don't want to call yourself a trans woman, come up with something else that doesn't implement that you used to be something else. Like if you were to call yourself, I don't know, like, but woman is specific to me.
So
We're different.
basically, call
We're
yourself
different.
anything but women because you're not
Right.
women. Okay.
Right.
No, but
Okay.
here it is, Amon. But here's this,
It doesn't
Amon.
have to
This
be.
is
You could
Amon.
call
Amon,
yourself
listen to
Lolita.
this.
I don't
But
care.
listen to this. But if we, this is why a lot of trans
Yo,
women and people who are passable and stuff does not like the trans thing. This is exactly why.
thank
Because
you.
if you
I
want us
don't.
to stay, you want us to stay in our place. You want us to do these things. Y'all want us to, and y'all are the main reason that why what happened to us happened to us. This is why we don't want to identify as trans women, because we don't want to be put as, oh, we transition from something to something, or we don't want to be labeled as, oh, I came from this and now I'm that. That's not even your business. You
Okay, so
weren't even in my process. That's my business and my process. This is what I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay,
why
so
can't
Right.
what I
And when you
and
show up, and when you
because
show up,
Okay,
and
so
when you show
Nicole,
up, not to
question
cut
for
you
you.
off,
Is it
and when you
possible
show
for us
up,
to agree on one thing? Would it be possible so that because I wholeheartedly don't feel that it's respected. I don't want that for you. And the fact that when I'm just kind of stating my thoughts and opinions, I get labeled as transphobic is really upsetting because it diminishes everything that I'm saying and it diminishes the points I'm trying to make. What I'm saying is that
can I say
how
something,
about
Nicole?
this? How about we come to a consensus? Um, can we come to a consensus that if you want to identify as a woman, that maybe there should be a consistent effort to present as much as a woman as humanly possible? Like,
I
okay, so
agree
let me
with
say this.
that.
Can
like
I say
can,
this? Can I say this? And this is the
Wait,
problem, Tabitha. This is the problem. What she's saying is making sense. This is the problem with the other identification. Because see now, when they're also talking about the physical look, and there's so many people who play around with this. There's so many people who just does it for fun, who gets up and drags, who do all these things. And we as trans women, and we're serious for us. It's our life for us. We are being watered down because of all the other things that they are seeing. And so,
Because you can have any butch queen throw on a wig and say
but
that
wait a
they're
minute,
trans.
hold up, wait a minute. Wait, Nicole, I'm inclined to agree with you because we come from an era where our ability to blend was about safety. It was about us getting through the neighborhood without being attacked. So we did everything we could to be as womanly passable as possible. So therefore we didn't have to subject ourselves to violence. But here's what I say to that, right? And it goes back to what she's saying about the man versus female. You could be passable and a guy's attracted to you, right? And you don't tell him you're a team right away, but he finds out, he attacks you. Or you could tell him up front and he still attack you. So it's like, how much passable do you want us to be subjective to? Because at the end of the day, how we show up is who we are. And no one is going to show up and say, hi, my name is Tabitha. I was born a male. All you need to know is that I'm Tabitha. So on the same token, I just like, for me, honestly, like I respect your honesty and that's how you feel. But I just would not myself feel safe receiving services like that, because at the end of the day, I know how you really see me.
Oh
You understand? So when you say that you want to protect me, like I can protect myself. I work for a law firm. I'm talking to a law firm. So I actually am a policy advocate. I admire you for your strength and your truth. But when you say that someone should have to show up and be more passable as a woman, you're also using the privilege that's steeped in patriarchy because you're telling someone how they should present. That makes you comfortable as a biological female.
Right. So
Do
your
you
job.
see what I'm trying to
So
say
what
here?
responsibility? Right. But here's the thing, though. You have to remember that if you want me to accept you and your truth, your job is not to just show up however the hell you feel. You need to show up in a way that makes it acceptable for the people around you to accept you. The same thing as when you go to work. You got
I
to wear a
agree.
suit, right?
I agree.
You can't
I
just
agree.
show up how you please.
Can I say
I
something?
agree. I agree.
Okay, final statement.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes.
But why should people present themselves if they're like a drag queen or they're like gender non-conforming? I'm a trans woman in my 20s and I feel like there's space for everyone. And I don't feel like people should conform to heterosexual standards in society, because that's something of the old age. I feel like we as young people, and I understand the older trans women saying that it's about safety in their time, and I respect that. But as a younger trans woman, I feel like everyone should have a place in society, and everyone should be able. Why does somebody who shows up with a beard and makeup make you so uncomfortable? The world does not
Because
only
it's
have
not standard
heterosexual
operating
and
procedure.
cisgender people in the world.
It's not standard operating procedure. Here's the thing, though. This
No,
is
I
part of the. This is
understand
also
that,
part of
but
the reason. This is also part of the reason why people have a hard time dealing with people who are kind of millennials. They get so frustrated because there's the world that you think that the world should be, and then there's the way that the world actually is. So you have women who will go into forms of, like, I actually know a woman who was actually murdered because she went into a form of sex work that is highly dangerous, and that she had the audacity to tell other people, when you said, yo, you really shouldn't be doing that. Well, first of all, I should be able to do what I want, and no one should be able to tell me anything, and I could do whatever I please, and murdered. Because she decided that she was going to enter a world full of people who don't agree with her and don't see the world the way that she does, and tell everybody that if we don't agree with the way that she sees the world, there's something wrong with us. And she actually thought that was going to do something.
Okay, thank you, Queen Bee. I'm going to let you go. So, okay, you said it's not standard. That can have us on here for another 2 hours, but I'm going to wrap it up because, but what she said,
the average man walking around with eyeshadow and a beard? That's all I'm saying.
In
it's
2020,
not common.
yeah.
I agree.
No. But I agree with you because I know where you're coming from. You're just coming from it is the reality. Those are the facts.
Yeah, I personally
However,
don't care. I think it's dope.
But those are the facts. It's not standard, but because it's, and I understand what you're saying. So that's why it's a problem. However, if we keep pushing that narrative, it'll never shift. If we keep acknowledging that as it's okay, so people should conform to that standard, that's why things don't ever change. That doesn't have to be the standard. It just is the current standard. But it doesn't have to be that way. People's thought process can shift at any moment. You're choosing to keep that same type of thought process and mindset. You don't have to adapt that mindset. You don't have to go with that standard, whether it's reality or not. Yes, it's facts, but you don't have to adapt to that mindset. Us as a people, nothing is set in stone 100% reality. You know, you don't have to say that's what it is. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to.
Right. But I'm just going to say just one thing.
Can I just say this opinion? Sure. And this is something that goes on in our community amongst us, me and Tabitha. See, now, while y'all are fighting us in our trans womanhood, we are fighting and going through it with the other identifications that water down what we look like with the young lady that just came on and spoke about a beard and stuff. That was because for me, like, no, that's why they treat us like that, because that they're taking the identification and loosely using it the way that they want to use it. And for girls like myself who appreciate Black women and identify as one, we are put to be like, oh no, you just like them. And so we have this argument amongst ourselves in our own community, fighting just to be a trans woman and have our own right because of the other new identifications as gender non-conforming, gender non-binary. I heard you said they got something called trans moon.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's when
I've
you
never
identify
heard
as
of
the
it.
moon.
Oh my God.
Tabitha, hold on, Nicole. I'm gonna let you talk. Tabitha, get your last thoughts out because I'm letting you go now.
Go ahead, Tabitha.
I really don't have any that much to say. I just want to say to thoughts and opinions. I appreciate you. Thank you for challenging me to think beyond what I believe, and I hope you can see past my yelling and my anger to try to understand where I came from.
I absolutely do. Please don't think I hate you. I don't. I really don't. I don't
think you do.
I don't hate you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. In fact, one of the things
She's gone.
There's Oh yeah. But there's one thing to keep in mind. Like, there's certain things that happen to trans women that I'm very passionate about. Like, for example, like the dead naming thing. I wasn't actually aware of the fact that when trans women lose their lives, if they don't have an immediate next of kin, they get dead named on their graves. Like, I think that's real. I think that it's horrible. You don't even get to die with a certain level of dignity. You know what I mean? You don't even get to go out in the way that you feel you should. People are going to dead name you. And I think things like that are awful. And I think you should be able to live and die the way that you choose. So I think your dignity should extend way past your time on this earth. I don't want anyone to take this as me coming up against you, because keep in mind, like I said multiple times, I have nothing but issues with the Black community. So when you're talking about Black sisterhood, I have a news flash for you, Nicole. This could be a whole other conversation. Black sisterhood does not exist. It really doesn't. The things that the betrayals I've experienced at the hands of Black women, you wouldn't even believe.
Oh, well, hold on. And see, what's interesting is, and this is the thing with Black women. They're all on your side right now because you're going with it, and because it's got to do with trans. But if I bring you on for that conversation, you're going to be canceled. They're going to want you to fuck off the line. But right now, if it's against gay people and trans, the Black women are let a true queen talk. You're a queen tonight.
Oh yeah.
But tomorrow,
that's
tomorrow
really crazy.
you'll be a bitch and a coon.
That's right. They've been calling me
And
that.
I have so many women that follow me, that follow my lives, and are respectful. And then there are just the women that feel the way they feel. And it's just unfortunate. And this conversation can be had for hours more, and you will come back to the same position when we start talking about semantics and biologically.
Yep.
I think female biologically, for me, and this is how Nicole feels, that's a female. I think a woman has everything to do with what womanhood is, and nothing to do with what the vagina. A woman, a female, biological female, is someone who has that. But the conversation always go back to that. Amar, you broke the fucking internet tonight. Let me just say that.
I just have one question for Nicole. Just for the people who actually want to have a meaningful and helpful relationship with trans women, but they don't necessarily agree with everything. How can we be an ally in a way that is helpful, constructive, but still kind of recognizes that I have my own opinions, but I'm not out to hurt you?
I mean, I think by for what I get, and and I'm going to say the whole time I agreed, and I was with you to the part that switched, and that was when we started talking about biological. I think that women need to come up off of that statement, that antic in order, because it's something that is said to hurt our feelings. It's something that's said to close the conversation. It's something that's said that just takes away from everything we speak about when you say that, because now you're saying that my ideas and my thoughts and my feelings are nowhere near a woman because I don't have that, and that's not true. I think that us as trans women need to be very careful of the language in addressing women. Yes, we do. We need to be very careful, that especially women who tell us how they would like to be addressed and how they would like to be. We need to be careful. So I think the language, it has a lot to do with how we can effectively help each other and be there for each other, and understanding that we are allies. I'm an ally of this community. You are ally of this community. And so there are some things that you may not be able to address, and knowing your place. And so all those things, language, understanding, and knowing your place in the conversation could keep a healthy dialogue going on, where there's not one side feeling hurted, slighted, disrespected by another side when they feel they want to go below the belt.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yes.
I'm going to let you go, love. Thank you, Nicole. I'll call you later.
Yes, see y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Nicole.
Oh, girl. Well, hey, Bill. Thank you for a phenomenal show. We had a good time. I want to say that you held your own. You got pulled out of character a little bit, but you maintained an even keel, and you're a good sport about it. So thank you for coming on to this platform. You're welcome anytime we have these discussions. So yeah, any final thoughts?
Yes, first and foremost, for the women who are agreeing with me in the chat, keep that same energy if we ever have a conversation about the roles that Black women play in Black society, and the things that we do as a collective that make life harder for all Black women and make life easier for ain't shit men to kind of get away with things. Keep that same energy, because if he has that chat, I'll be on that too. And you're not going to like what I have to say.
Thank you so much, love. I'll talk to you soon. And thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So listen, I want to know, I don't know if you guys are all subscribed right now, but listen, we are 9 subscribers away from 7 subscribers away. I need 7 subscribers right now so we can hit 72,000 subs tonight, you guys. We've been on here 3 hours. I don't do these long lives, but I wanted to do so. I think we facilitated a great conversation. So maybe we'll get these kind of topics going on Sundays where we'll do deep dives. Another lady wanted me to talk about Black mothers so that might be next week. Black mothers. So and how they help shape the Black men. Remember that? So people want me to do that. So we might tackle that next Sunday. So that'll be our deep dive days, our sipping Sundays. We'll get into some things. So for those people that want to come onto the chat, we'll do it this way. You guys can come in and have your opinions and we'll carry you all day. So let's go ahead and subscribe. Please, 7 people. We only need 7 people that are not subscribed to the channel. Let's go. We hit it. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys. And understand, today is just one show. You might agree with me tonight. We get hectic. We get we argue. We get into it. We get frustrated. But we make it through the show. I love you all. Thanks for watching. This is what makes this show a unique show on this platform, which makes it a special show, which makes it the best show because we get mad, we get happy, we get sad, we get frustrated. But then we realize, damn, like there's no other place on YouTube that you can get into these conversations and it evokes these type of emotions out of you all. So I love you all. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be Black, be positive, and nothing but love. Bye, y'all.